him real quick.
Oh, too late. Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh,
welcome to Fight Talk. It's been a little while. I think we're going to get the branding down right now, but it's here. It's now. We are back. And I'm sure that you guys have missed us. We've missed you, but we're all able to be here, be in these settings, and be able to talk about these fights as only we can. So, as always, shout out to everyone who's watching. Maestro, a boxing right to the to me it's my left, but to you guys might be a little different. I've got Dani Glover from Fight Fan TV directly above me, and we've got the Queen over there, October Red, in the building. So yes, thank you very much for tuning in, and yeah, I guess we can get started. So I think it's only right we do things in sequential order, but let's talk about the fight card that took place at the Copper Bosch, as it was known, for one night, with Johnny Fisher and Alan the Savage Babic. Now, I was in attendance, so I'm kind of going to give my thoughts last. But Red, I know you did a live watch along, so I'd like to have sort of your opinion on just a card itself and how you kind of felt things went.
I enjoyed it very much. I know Eddie sort of like labelled it as a semi next gen card, but it had a little bit more to it, you know. We had Mark Tibbs was out there earning his P's last night. I'm thinking, I don't know, what did he have? Right, 3 fighters on there, more or less one after the other. Tibbsy, you know, yet again shining through with his fighters. So I want to first of all say a massive respect to him. He's really, really working hard in the gym with his fighters. Each of them have got a different style, and he really works towards their attributes. I think, he had pronounce the names for me. Is it
Giorgio Vizioli?
Vizioli. Then he
He
has
also had did he have Jimmy Sains as well?
Yeah, yeah. No, Sains is
that was Sims.
Yeah. And I think obviously Johnny Fisher, is it
John Hedges.
And John Hedges, that's it.
Yeah.
So he really earned his money last night. Shout out as well to Yasmina, and I'm not going to try and pronounce her surname because I'll get it wrong. Yeah. Credit to her. I did say that she was going to win that fight, and you guys can back me up on that.
You said she can win that fight. You didn't say she's going to.
Well, I didn't say the other one could, so I'm going to say that was me saying that she was going to win. Come on, choice of words. Stop that.
Okay, cool. Fair enough.
She went in there and she put up a good performance against Shannon Ryan. She did the same and even better. She said she went away. She had sort of like a warm-up, stay-ready fight with Gemma Rueg. And those of you that are on the circuit will know, you know, Gemma Rueg is one of the tough girls that's out there that kind of like serves up for all the up and coming fighters. So she went in there and really put on a really good back foot performance against Maisie that just couldn't seem to settle into a rhythm. But I will shout out Tony Sims as well, because I think we were going into round number 6 and Tony just told us straight. He told Maisie straight, look, you're down 4. You know, I think you've won 1 round here. We're in round 5. You're down 4. You've really got to start upping your pace. You got to do something because you're down. Just straight up, honest, no back rubs. No, you're doing okay. Just literally, you've got to start to win this fight. So I really like that from him. It was refreshing to hear. But obviously, Maisie just couldn't catch up with the rounds. And I think the right girl won. It was nice to see her there come in as an away fighter, similar to what happened with Gemma Dolan the other week. As an away fighter and collects the belts, emotional after. So yeah, I really enjoyed watching that fight, and hopefully we'll see Yasmina back on the card. Notice that Callum Simpson was in the corner with her as well. So shout out Dickie's gym, good gym. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, Reece Bellotti, phenomenal, lovely work, punching and moving, angles, body shots, working the head, the body, beautiful. I reckon that his opponent will be heavily regretting that he didn't start earlier, that he really didn't come into himself when he could have done. There were opportunities. He just seemed uptight, tense, high guard, potentially just throwing in the counters when he could, but really then went for it in the last, 10, 20 seconds of the final round. I mean, if we saw more of that earlier, it might have made for a more entertaining fight, but it was very one-sided. So I love that from Reece Bellotti. And obviously, I'll leave the main fight. I'm sure we'll all have our 50 pence worth on that 36 worth of seconds of a beatdown. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I loved it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, look, Danny, your floor is yours. How much did you take of the card, and what was your sort of opinions overall before we talk about the main event?
Well, I didn't see much of the undercard because I was at my friend's 40th yesterday. But the bits I did see, I saw Jimmy Sains. Good performance, but I do feel that the ref just decided to stop it because it seemed maybe the crowd probably wanted to watch the football a bit more because it was literally on.
It was on the bell.
Yeah, yeah. The bell went, and then he just goes like the guy didn't just survive the round, and he got into the last round. It's like you kind of just it's like you just had enough of what you like. He wanted to watch the footy, like he had enough of repping, doing a job for a bit, so he just gave Jimmy the stoppage, which I didn't think was very helpful. He's got 6 wins, 6 KOs, but at some point you need to let the guy get the rounds that he needs at the end of the day and see if he can actually get a real stoppage in that sense. Obviously, he got real stoppages in the past, but that one, it probably may have gone to the cards. But yeah, he kind of cheated the fighters and well, I wouldn't say the fans because the fans was more interested in the football, but it is where it is. So yeah, Jimmy Sains moves on. So well done to Tony Sims there. Yeah, well done. Congratulations to October Red. She did call it in the chat. I know, she needed to use her politically red Labour Party choice of words. So she did predict that Zappa Dokacha or
Zapatochna.
Yeah, Zapatochna was going to get
pretty gal boxer. Yeah, we'll call her that.
Yeah. Spice Girl. She had the abs and all that. I remember when she fought what's her name? Shannon Ryan. She had the abs and all that guy, and she was in good. She's in good nick.
Married men are the worst, Where too them a pop out here that look at her abs for.
I'm going by. I was doing media critique from a coaching perspective. I do.
Keep digging, Dani.
I'm looking to get into a bit of strength and
conditioning.
So I'm just from a boxing observation. She's in great shape.
Do you ever hear me talking about boxers' abs on here? Do you ever hear me like, abs, fighters' abs?
No, but we talk about their chocolate skin, though. So
like,
you
listen,
ain't
we're not going to talk about what goes on in the WhatsApp.
Oh, is it? No, we're talking about on here.
Well,
I don't know what you mean,
Well,
honestly, I don't know what you mean.
Shout out to Henry. I know he talks about you looking at people.
Henry's too busy watching other people. That's what's creepy about Henry. But shout out to Henry that hates. Happy birthday to him.
Let's not act like children here, guys. Let's bring it back on topic, please.
Sorry, parliamentary procedure. But yeah, those are the things I did watch on the undercard. So yeah, we'll move on.
All right, Maestro. I know you was obviously busy in transit to the top rank card. How much did you see of it?
So 100%. So well, first of all, big up to England for getting that big win yesterday. I started my sports watching day watching England against Switzerland. And I missed most of this card, to be quite honest, because I was really hoping that Turkey, and we got to say Turkey, now not Turkey. They were taking on the Netherlands. And I was watching that matchup, and when I left home in the Bronx on my way to Newark, New Jersey, Turkey was up 1-0, and I was on cloud 9. So I had Turkey, Netherlands on my tablet. I had the zone card on my mobile phone, right? And the first fight I caught was the Reece Bellotti fight. It looked very competitive. I wasn't scoring the fight, to be quite honest with you, but it did seem like some of those scorecards were quite wide. But look, I have to admit, I was watching the football as much as I was, probably more than I was watching that fight, and I haven't gone back to watch it. So I did hear the commentators saying that he needed a knockout going into that last round. So that's probably the case, which is probably why it was so wide. But at least the last few rounds I saw did seem to be competitive, but I wasn't scoring the fight. I did see the main event though. That really didn't take up much of my time. And Bosh, what can I say? I mean, Johnny Fisher, a guy who had a couple uni level uh, boxing matches, has now become a rising star in Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Sports stable of heavyweights. I don't know if he fought Busa back when I lived in England. There was something called Busa, British University Sports Association. I think it's changed since then, but apparently he had those level of fights. By the way, I think David Adelaide was a university level fighter as well.
Yes, David Adelaide and Dan Aziz. Johnny Fisher did not, because he boxed as a child. He had a few junior fights, and then he had a couple of senior fights probably about 10 years later. So I think he had about 9-10 bouts in total, but I think about 7 or 8 of them was as a junior, like at 10-11 years old.
Got it. So there you go. Because they're out there saying that part of the mystique of him is that he had a couple uni fights and then he's become what he's become. So look, will he become a people's champ like a Daniel Dubois, the uncrowned unified heavyweight champion of the world? I don't know, maybe. Dubois had a lot more experience than him as an amateur, the people's champ. Might he become an 8-time heavyweight champion like Anthony Joshua? I think that's a little bit beyond his level, a lot beyond his level.
Respect to Seconds Out. Sorry, I just got a shout out. Seconds Out, always supporting the channel. Respect to you guys. Shout out and respect.
Absolutely, Seconds Out. I actually wrote for Seconds Out way back when in 2009. You guys could look it up. I covered my first fight covering for Seconds Out was Kotelnik Khan at the MEN Arena way back in the day. My write-up's still out there on the internet. Anyhow, yeah, so might he become an 8-time heavyweight champion like AJ? Probably not. Even a 1-time, maybe, depending. Maybe he might get a regular title like Daniel Dubois did under the right circumstances, if they could find like a Trevor Bryant for him some way down in his future. But I think Johnny Fisher versus the British level guys right now, whether it's Fabio Wardley, whether it's Big Frage, I see those as competitive fights. I'm not saying he should fight those guys right now, but I think he'd be competitive with a little bit more seasoning, a few more wins. You serve him up guys like David Allen, guys like that, lower level guys with names who have maybe been faded. I'm not saying that we got to pull out Audley Harrison here, but bring in some guys with some names, season him up a little bit, and maybe he wins the British title later on, maybe European. But I think that we need to park the brakes on anyone comparing him either to the people's champion in Dubois or to potentially an AJ, because you gotta show AJ his due respect. He is a.
Who compared him to AJ, Maestro? Did somebody do that yesterday?
Well,
I read something on X, because it's all right. It's ringing bells and Base is smiling.
I've heard AJ. I've heard Henry Cooper. I've heard No, I mean, Eddie Hearn was bringing it up in an interview I watched this morning that somebody is comparing him to Henry Cooper. He called him Sir Henry Cooper. I don't play that game, but Eddie Hearn was calling out Eddie. Frank Bruno was another name I heard. So look, there's a long list of heavyweights from England. I think obviously the best of all time is Lennox, not just from England, but overall, Lennox is the GOAT in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I English level, British level, possibly.
But Maestro, you know what? Are we getting really excited? He's beat Alan Babic. Alan Babic, that is not known to be like technical, or is somebody that just goes in there and scraps. Are we getting overhyped, like because of that 36-second knockout? I'm playing devil's advocate because I like Alan Babic, I do, but when you're looking at caliber of boxing, he's not. You wouldn't put him up there with like high skill set.
No. What I'm actually saying is from a management matchmaking perspective is to not get overhyped, because this is a guy who was knocked out really quick by Rosinski in a Bridgerweight title fight. By the way, we can't forget about that. I remember seeing a fight with him and a Frenchman, a French journeyman. I forgot his name, and they were going to war. The French dude almost took Babic's O.
I think I remember watching that.
Right?
Yeah, you was there, Abs. That was at the Craig undercard. That was the mad fight.
That one, right?
He got knocked down, didn't he? Did he get knocked down?
Yeah.
I apologize to the Frenchman. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But look, I'm saying pump the brakes. Like, don't go for Adelaide just yet. Don't go for Wardley or Clark. I'm just saying I could see
the
him
English champion Solomon Dakers.
Yeah, Solomon. I wouldn't even take that just yet. I'm just saying I could see him achieving that level and being competitive with those guys right now, but there's no reason to put him in with those guys, because look, he's a ticket seller. He's got an aura about him,
massive,
and they can continue to develop that.
Somebody's I'll name this account later has just jumped in there and said, does Fisher beat Atuma?
No,
is this the quick answer.
Okay. Yeah, look, overall thoughts on the card. To be honest, I didn't pay huge attention to it when I was in the arena. I was kind of doing bits and pieces. There's only a few fights I really took notice of. One was obviously the women's fight, because I had interest in that one just for how it would play out. Prediction was wrong on that. Although it was funny enough, you look at the scorecards, I had the same scorecard as the third judge. I don't remember the name, but 94-96 to Yasmina. She just too quick, basically. Moving on the back foot. I thought some of the actual back foot movement might play against her, and I think it did in some of the later rounds, hence why someone found 4 rounds to give to Maisie. But just the clean punching ultimately. And it's really weird. Like, Maisie had a very off performance. Part of that is because Yasmina made have an off performance, but then something, I don't know, if you I don't know if this picked up on the actual cameras, but in the arena she kept doing some odd things, like with her hair and twitching of her face. So yeah, something just seemed just off about her whole aura that night. And no one saw her after the fight. We saw Yasmina throughout the night with the belt, walking around the crowd like quite happily. Callum Sims, all of those, they was there, but like Maisie was nowhere to be seen after. So I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up going to hospital for medical assessments or something. Like I said, she didn't look right in that moment, and she left the ring very, very quickly after the result.
I hope she's all right.
I'll check in with the team. I did watch Reece Bellotti and Levi Giles. That one pretty much played out exactly as I predicted it would. Yeah. With Reece Bellotti, just basically the work rate too much. Levi Giles, as you guys said, took way too long to get going. He had a good 8, 9, and 10, where it was competitive. He won the 9th and the 10th quite widely, to the point where, as you said, if he had stepped on the gas a little bit earlier, if he had done it around earlier, he probably could have got a stoppage, which is funny to think of considering he's only got 4 stoppages in 17 fights. But he had Reece Bellotti hurt very badly in that 10th, and he also actually had him badly buzzed. I think it was in the 6th round, but he didn't follow up quick enough. And Reece Bellotti managed to smother him, and then he actually got back into it and started punching him in the smother, and he managed to clear his head quite quickly. But yeah, the warning signs were there for that one. In terms of the main event, I mean, yes, as we're all pretty much going to say, it was 36 seconds. Now, first things first, Johnny Fisher did what you're supposed to do. Like, you keep the range. You stop the other guy from being able to use any advantages he has, and the advantages Alan Babic has is that he can sort of get under punches, but it's almost like number one, he didn't get going. Number two, he may have been cold. He probably got caught cold, especially after Johnny Fisher's long ring walk. Because once Alan was in the ring, they had one song walking him to the rampway. Then they had a big graphic. Then they had an announcement. Then they had him standing. So he was in the ring for about a good 5 or 6 minutes before Johnny got in there. So he could have cooled himself down. But yeah, when those punches came in, from that very first punch he took, he said, "Oh yeah, he ain't taking this punch well." He said that he felt his punch resistance was back after Steve Robinson fight. Yeah, I think he got a stark reminder that there's levels in punching. And from that very first shot, it was just over. He didn't actually throw one shot in the entire 30 seconds. It's not even like they tried a bit of a trade and he got caught with something. He just walked forward. Hands not even up where they needed to be. Barrage. Then made the cardinal mistake. Same thing he did in the Rosansky fight. Got up too soon. Legs weren't under him properly, and obviously he started breakdancing in the ring, and to the point where the ref was like, "Okay, yeah, I can't let you carry on." Even though as soon as the ref waved it off, his legs came back. So it's one of those unfortunate moments. If he had just taken another 1 or 2 seconds before getting up, he may have been able to shake that off. And even if he got knocked out later on, he may have been able to make it a bit more competitive, or said, "You know what, I'm just going to go for broke." So it felt a bit anticlimactic in the arena, but obviously everyone was jubilant in elation. It was getting a bit late, so I'm sure all the Essex lot were just happy they could get on their way back home. It made the press conference started a little earlier than it would have, so can't really complain at that one either. But no, it was overall, I mean, it was good. The only thing I'm concerned about, and it's funny because I was gonna ask this question in the press conference afterwards, but I couldn't be bothered to go around and ask more than one. But I was going to ask, is there any more sort of tentativeness about matching someone like Fisher tougher? Because obviously Eddie's mantra is no easy fights, and that it's been that way since lockdown. But with someone like Johnny Fisher, who is such a promoter's dream, like young, hungry, aggressive, big puncher, big fan base that shows up and shows out every single time, sells a huge amount of tickets. You want to kind of keep that train on the tracks for as long as possible. So I would just wonder, are they actually going to look for these quote unquote step up fights, these English level, these British level fights now, or are they going to wait for those guys to move on, then jump in there to have that as the next moniker until you get to that point where there is no return? A bit like what Frank Warren used to do. And then you finally just throw them in the deep end, like right towards the end. That would be interesting to find out overall. But big congrats to Johnny and the team. Obviously, he's a very good, personable guy. He works hard, and he's even said that he's been, tweaking his training, his diet. He's starting to cut out a bunch of the stuff that he was doing before because he wants to step up these levels, and he knows the sacrifices, the extra 1% and the 2% are going to have to be there. So we'll see where he gets to. I don't have any illusions of him being or getting to that world level, but I reckon he could sort of reign in and amongst that British, maybe that fringe European level. And depending on the run of how everyone else shapes up and who sort of drops out and comes into the division, then maybe maybe a couple vacant titles in the future. But hey, there's years to go. Let's wait and see.
Dani.
Yeah, with Johnny Fisher, great performance. Very explosive. I did label the fight the Savage Bull, and hey, Johnny Fisher was a savage bull in there. So yeah, great performance. And what I think he will towards the end of the year probably go for an English title. But as you said, I think Eddie is quite smart, so he'll wait for the current guys like David Adelaide, Solomon Dacus to probably move on. And then what he could do is he could match him with someone like TKV for the vacant English title, because I think that would be,
I didn't think of that.
Yes, that would be an even fight, and I think that would be a good English title fight. So yeah, I think that could be. So hey, if it gets done, then hey, as Base the Kid says, I want my 10%. But yeah, I think
tribunal base.
Yeah, but as far as people saying is Johnny Fisher the next AJ or what's his name, Henry Cooper? I'm like that. He doesn't even fight like them. If anything, he probably fights more like Joe Bugner if we was to actually compare him to anybody. But yeah, I think he could win a British one day. He's building correctly. I saw, unfortunately, I don't know if any of you saw the picture of him with Derek Chisora, where they obviously had a spar, and it looked, well, obviously I'm just going by a still photo, but it looked like Johnny Fisher. It looked like Johnny Fisher felt bad, like he was looking down, like he felt bad that he put a beat down on him or something, because Derek Chisora looked all bruck up, and Johnny Fisher's like looking at her face like, oh, but I really used to properly look up to you and like watch your fights and admire you, but you know, it's just one of those things, you know, like how he was in the changing room with Babic, you know, it's just one of those things, you know, and anything you need, come around for dinner, and you know, he's a genuinely nice guy, and it's like, he probably felt a bit bad having to mash him up like that, but he thought, hey, it is where it is. So yeah, he's really improving. His shape's coming on well. He's looking more muscular and structured, getting the tapered thing. So he's cutting out the what's it, the chicken balls and all that. But yeah, I think he can get to. I think he become British champion, and that would be for him. That he said that would be an overachievement for him. So if he becomes British champion, you know, sell him those tickets, he'd be like a real, you know, the proper old school, you know, British bulldog type, you know, honorable British champion. If you can get 3 defenses of that and keep it outright, I think Eddie's at a result, and I think Eddie will be really happy. And I think, yeah, he's and he get a nice little Saudi British title fight like Fabio Wardley Adelaide did as well. So yeah, he sells tickets. He's a nice person. He's grafting. You can see he's a grafter. Yeah. Good salesman. His dad's a salesman, but a nice salesman. He doesn't have to. They don't go down the whole slagging everyone off to pump, you know, to promote themselves. They're doing it in a nice, you know, cheeky chappy way. And yeah, onwards and upwards. But I'd like to see him versus TKV at the end of the year for the vacant English title.
You know what? That's not a bad shout, you know.
That is actually not a bad
shout. Babic had no defense at all. I thought, because I agreed with you, Base, because obviously I was listening to your picks yesterday, and I thought, yeah, Babic is going to try and stick on his chest, isn't he? Try and get in. And I remember saying it on the live. Yeah, I agree with what Base says. And the only time it won't work is if Fisher establishes his jab and his range so he can't get near him. And that's exactly what he did. And then he just like clubbed him to death. It was just, I was literally getting ready to call the shots and he was on the floor. But like you said, he got up too quick. Shouldn't have got up that quick. But to be fair, how many rounds would you want to take a beating like that? I think the ref did him a favour. I think him even getting up quick did him a favour. We hear about, I think some of the guys on the comms were saying that, is he actually, you know, a natural heavyweight? Should he be a cruiserweight? But then it's all this talk about, obviously, when you're a heavyweight, it's about the money, isn't it? It's how many people like blow up to heavyweight, but they're not a natural heavyweight just to get paid. And then obviously it doesn't work out well for them when they start going through the different sorts of fighters and the more skillful fighters. I'm really happy for Johnny Fisher. I agree with what you said, you know, really personable guy. You just so much manners. Home training and manners is there for you to see. He walks with his family everywhere that he goes. He's, you know, his brother, his sister, mom and his dad. You know, absolute gem. I can see that he's good to train. I can see that he listens, that he wants to do well. And a massive respect to Mark Tibbs, because he works hard with his fighters. He's not someone that's, you know, doing cartwheels in front of the camera and doing interviews every 5 seconds and saying how fantastic he is, because he's not like that. He just grafts away in the quiet with his fighters. And it's nice to see that he's grown Johnny Fisher. He's the one that's grown him and molded him to become, you know, this fighter that he is. We're still debating how far he will go. At the end of the day, we don't know. But all I will say yesterday is his shape. Like Dani said, his composure. He looks really good in there. I really liked his form, his stance, the way his shoulders were relaxed, the way he put out the jab. Yes, he went square on when he went in for the attack. I haven't really got much of a data from that fight to say how it could have went, but I see improvements. And I wish him all the best for his future. I think he needs to be managed properly. I think Eddie yesterday, you know, all the hype, everything, the British football, the English football, all of that, the hype, it just got to everyone and everyone just started talking crazy. But I think when the dust settles, it'll be like, okay, let's put out a proper roadmap for you. What do we want you to do next? Because I'm hearing him going to Australia to be on the undercard of, is it Liam Paro? And then potentially, I think him and Dave Allen did a live on IG today, and potentially maybe talking about him and Dave Allen maybe fighting next year. So they're talking, you know, they are going to dismiss all the hype and all the everything from yesterday. They're going to build him properly, because at the end of the day, he's a ticket seller. And if you put him too hard, too fast, then you risk the potential of losing that money. And that's just me talking on a business level.
Yeah.
No, you're totally right.
You mentioned, thank you, Base. You mentioned the cruiserweight thing, right? You were talking about Babic in that regard, right? I agree with you 100%. I mean, undersized heavyweights need to be extremely highly skilled to have success against really big heavyweights. Very few people have done it successfully. One of the guys that did it most successfully actually was Chris Bird, who I'm sure you all remember. He had a very respectable run as a heavyweight. Was actually a natural middleweight, super middleweight that packed on pounds to move all the way up. That's just not Alan Babic. He doesn't have skills like that. So that's the first thing. Another thing that you mentioned, October Red, that had me thinking, and this is what I would actually probably do if I was managing and matchmaking for Johnny Fisher. You position him to get the British title, just like Dani said, right? You wait it out, you get the British title. Then what I would do is I would have him as the British champion taking on the Spanish champion, the Italian champion, the German champion, the Australian champion. So you're taking on national champions from other countries. Back in the day, boxers from the United States used to do this, including Muhammad Ali. Like, they do on these little tours and fight like the national champions of various countries, right? Now, boxing has fallen off a lot since that time, because we have so many world title belts, that being an Italian champion or a German champion or even a European champion means less. But, you know, I don't think he's quite ready for European level yet. If he does become British level champion, defend that title, but then also do like regular, you know, English Bosch versus Italian and German and whatever, Australian, and you get to build up his fan base like that too. So I think I would do that.
That's a very good point, actually, because then if you beat the German champion, the Spanish champion, the French champion, then really you're going around being a continental champion by right, without having to hold on to that silly little belt, but you're actually doing it the legit way, because you're cleaning up the continent.
Imagine that.
Yeah, so that's actually,
because theoretically they should all be at the same level as such, and then it's fair competition. I really do like that idea, Maestro.
Yeah, I think
it's in line with football too, with the Euros, right?
Oh, yeah,
and even less. I mean, at a club level, you've got UEFA, right? And you know, you've got that too, where you do well on the English scene. You get to test yourself against the best from League One in France, or the Bundesliga, or Serie A, or La Liga in Spain. Do it in boxing, right? Because I don't think he's ready for those couple next steps before world level. So this is a way to develop him, I think.
Yes, and what I like the way he did that kind of stiff arm thing first before he let off the combination. But this goes to show you that, you see, Mark Tibbs, because he was actually a good fighter, actually. I don't know if any of you guys...
You know, Belotti's trainer was his trainer. You know, Reese Belotti's trainer was his trainer.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Oh, well, there you go. See what I'm saying? So I remember, if you watch footage of
Jim McDonald, is it? Jim McDonald?
Oh, Jim McDonald. Yeah. He was James DeGale's trainer.
There you go.
Yeah. He's a fitness freak. Like, Tony learned
he runs miles, isn't it?
Yeah. Tony Sims learned his fitness regime. Like, everyone talks about the Sims Gym's fitness, but Tony learned that from Jim McDonald.
Nice. Yeah, so, proper veteran, man.
So people learn under people. You see the tutelage, there's a lineage. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you can see Johnny Fisher, he's been working on stuff, and it's good. And what it is, because he's got that rugby background, because he used to play rugby. So he's actually a very physically strong guy. So even inside, if he has to start getting inside in the clinches and inside fighting, he's going to be a problem to deal with. That's why he is a bull. He is a bull.
But that should make him very durable as well, because Connor Walker was also a rugby player, and we know how durable he is. Rugby and boxing seems to work pretty well because it makes really durable fighters.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Well, yeah. Yeah. Good things for the future for Mr. Johnny Fisher, man. Big him up.
Okay.
By the way, I want my 10% too.
Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of 10% going on around here, bro. When I get mine, I'll feed to the rest of you how to get yours.
Man, you're deep.
Okay, so look, with that being said, let's have a wander over, I guess, to, you know, before we go to the top rank card. Obviously, Maestro, you was there, so we can have a big sort of talk and debate on that. But let's talk really briefly just about William Zepeda and Giovanni Cabrera, the main event of the Golden Boy Promotions card. I know there was a couple decent fights on the undercard, but I haven't had a chance to watch all of those yet. And I'm going to assume, and you know, feel free to tell me that I'm wrong to do so, but I doubt anyone else has fully seen the entirety of that card as well. But I'm sure we must have seen a bit, if not the highlights of William Zepeda and Giovanni Cabrera. So yeah, just Dani, quick thoughts on that one if you have watched the 3 rounds of action, and just what was your thoughts, and where does William go next ultimately?
I have not watched it. I haven't watched it yet. So I watched the top rank one I watched the top rank card this morning because I was, as I said, I was out for my friend's birthday thing. So I actually haven't watched the Golden Boy card. So sorry about
that. We'll circle back around to you. Maestro, go ahead.
Yeah, so I can talk about the main event. I didn't see the undercard yet either, Base. There was a lot of boxing to watch before today. I mean, we had Kazuto Ryoka taking on Fernando Martinez as well in Japan in a very meaningful fight in the 150-pound division. Yep, absolutely. So, especially coming off of Bam's performance against Estrada last week. So we can talk about that later. But in terms of this particular card, I was actually pretty excited about this fight going into it because it's a very unique situation that William El Camarón, which means the shrimp in Spanish, Zepeda, has found himself in through, I would say, skillful matchmaking and promoting by the Golden Boy. He is ranked #1 by every single sanctioning body in the sport, meaningful sanctioning body, which is crazy. He's the only fighter right now active in the sport that's ranked #1. Although I don't know if he's ranked #1 by the IBO, but by the WBO, the IBF, the WBC, and the WBA across the board. All right. De La Hoya actually said something that was news to me. This has never happened in boxing before, according to De La Hoya. I know for a fact that it's not existent now. So that's who William Zepeda is. He's mandatory for Tank. He's mandatory for Loma. He's mandatory for Shakur. And he's mandatory for Dennis Berencek. That's crazy. So he's taking on, in the fight last night, a guy who went 12 rounds, split decision loss to Isaac Pitbull Cruz, who's highly rated over here in the United States, off of the back, and in Mexico, off of the back of his 12-round decision loss to Tank Davis. He's the only guy that's seen the final bell against Tank Davis in recent time. So that's who the two guys were. Giovanni Cabrera, he's from Chicago. He's trained out of the Wild Card gym by Freddie Roach. He's got a very awkward style. Almost starts off in like a points karate stance with his hands down. Very awkward, uses feints, but leaves himself very open. And you could see that in the first round, William Zepeda was trying to figure it out, right? Get his distance down, get his timing down, figure out how he would be able to set up his shots, which he started to do by targeting the body. And by the third round, he put him down with a hard body shot to the liver, and William Zepeda didn't get up. So first round, figuring the guy out. Second round, making investments into the body, being more accurate with his shots, getting that distance down, getting the timing down. Third round, lands that perfect shot, drops him. Cabrera doesn't get up in time, fight over. That's pretty much what happened. And like I said, Cabrera's a credible guy. Go for it, Base.
Yeah, no, do you know what? I mean, I predicted Zepeda would win, but I thought he'd actually win on points. I didn't think he'd be able to stop Cabrera, not even just because of the Pitbull Cruise one, but because he's got fairly good movement. I thought he'd be able to like box and move, kind of frustrate William on the first half, and then maybe get sort of beaten up a little bit in the second half. But I knew he had a chin, so I figured, okay, well he's got a chin, he'll be able to take those shots. I didn't think about the body work because Zepeda's only recently, in the last couple of fights, really started employing and investing into the body to break down his opponents. He used to headhunt a lot more than that before. So I didn't expect it. And yeah, as you said, the first round, Cabrera did what I was expecting him to do, but it's almost like he decided that, okay, I'm gonna get tired sooner than later here. So if I can hold my feet, if I can maybe catch him early, I might be able to slow him down or reduce his work rate to then try and manage it afterwards. Yeah, but he totally mistimed and miscalculated that game plan. And yeah, unfortunately, we talk about the body shot. It was a vicious body shot. Took him down, obviously, and there were a couple others catching him on the way down for good measure. But he could have got up. So he did decide he ain't want no more, because he got up straight after that 10 count. He's looking, he's smiling. He's like, it's not even like he's grimacing. He's smiling on one knee, like, yeah, this ain't gonna go my way. And he chose the path of least resistance, which I'm not gonna knock him for. But when you just look at the Mexican culture and that sort of Latin American, you're not supposed to just stay down like that. So I don't know, although luckily, because he's not looked at as a person that is supposed to be trading on his toughness, he may not get the same backlash as the others do within the community. Hoping. But yeah, otherwise, look, William Zepeda, he's got his run of the place. But here's the funny thing: as much as he's got the #1 spot everywhere, I don't know how quickly Golden Boy are going to be to enforce a mandatory for any of those belts, because they've shown as of late that they're not particularly willing to risk the prime guy, because I think he's like their last remaining hope, because you ain't got Ryan no more for whatever that was worth at the time. Jaime Munguia is gonna have a big name, but he's taken his loss now, so there's no O for him to trade on. William
Zurdo's a free
but
agent.
yeah, Zurdo's a free agent, and then you got Virgil Ortiz, sorry, who and we don't know what his health is truly saying at this point in time. So I reckon that they're gonna wait as long as possible before employing any of those mandatories. But I reckon if they do go for one, chances are they might try and go for Dennis Berinchyk first. They might see that as the easiest option to the world title, and then maybe just parlay that and hold on to that belt for a little while. Oh, okay, there you go. Ignacio says it, going after WBO mandatory. So that means they're getting after Berinchyk, which would make sense. But again, that's not an easy fight. It's not as easy as they may assume it to be, because Berinchyk is wily. He knows how to slow down a work rate. And if he did it with Navarrete, there's no reason to say that he can't do it with someone like Zepeda, although it will be a tough ask. But if anyone could do it, them Ukrainian guys can. But yeah, look, congrats to him. It was a nice, solid performance. Let's see what kind of happens moving forward with that. But since that is pretty much that out of the way, none of us saw the Masvidal and Diaz card, including, obviously, you had Kamel Moten was on the undercard for that. So was Danny Jacobs and Shane Mosley Jr. But again, yeah, I saw that he won. I saw part of that fight. I had a stream and I was watching part of it, but then I switched over to try and get onto the Top Rank card, which I finished watching earlier on today. Now, because you was there, Maestro, you kick it off. You can give us the lowdown on everything that was happening, all of the fantastic work, Abdullah Mason, Keyshawn Davis, Kelvin Davis. Talk us through how was it?
For sure. So I mean, the first fight featured heavyweight prospect Ali Feliz. He's out of Connecticut. He's managed by James Prince, who also manages Shakur, Abdullah Mason, Jared Big Baby Anderson. The fight went the distance. He faced a tough kind of guy, I think, with a bare knuckle fighting background as well. He is an undersized heavyweight. Ali Feliz. I think
Another one.
yes, I think he'd be. I'm actually significantly bigger than him. I actually walked by him at the arena.
Sizing
And
man up.
yeah, I mean, look, so when I see a heavyweight that's smaller than me, I usually say to myself, that guy should probably fight at cruiserweight. You know, it was he didn't stop the guy either or drop him. So talking about Abdullah Mason, he fought a guy at Puerto Rico, LeBron, who's featured on a lot of top ranked shows, known for his toughness, known for going the distance. He got absolutely butchered by Abdullah Mason. It was a one-sided beating that his corner rightfully stepped in and stopped, because that was going nowhere good for LeBron. And Abdullah Mason, what I love about him is that as a young man, he mastered the fundamentals. I like to see guys master the fundamentals before I see all of this, you know, flashy stuff against area title guys, and then you go to distance, something that we've seen in the UK recently. I like my blue chip prospects to master the fundamentals. What has he mastered? Balance, footwork, timing, right? Punch selection. He fights at levels. He attacks the head, he attacks the body. He works at angles. He creates openings for himself using feints, right? His punch technique is spot on. And he has something that's very difficult to teach. You can improve it, but you can't really teach it. This dude has punching power. I mean, I was sitting at the floor level, couple rows back from the ring in the media section, and I could hear the viciousness of his shots. As you guys would say out there, the spitefulness in his shots. And what I like about him, he's techie, man. I mean, he is technical with it, you know. So very good performance against the guy who was actually brought in to test him, LeBron, and give him rounds. And he worked the body, hurt him to the body, worked the head, hurt him to the head. Base, I know you want to jump in on Abdullah Mason, so go for it.
No, I just want to say real quick, I agree with everything you said. Special talent. But one thing that I noticed in this fight and in two of his previous fights, and again, it may be because he's just not worried about these guys, but he's not bringing his hands back to into defensive mode. So even though he's not taking any big shots and he's riding some, like he's still allowing himself to get hit in those pockets rather than trying to either parry those shots to then create another opening to go over the side or catching counters. It's a minor gripe right now, but I did see it a couple times. And obviously, as you said, LeBron is a tough guy who's supposed to just kind of go rounds. But if it's a habit that obviously continues moving forward, it just could become something. So I just wanted to kind of, and I don't know if you saw it in the arena, but I saw it when I was watching.
No, I did. He's using his feet more now at this stage to get in and out of range, defensively in his head movement more than he is blocking techniques. So that is something I agree that we can see that facet of his game added to his game. But I think in terms of speaking to him as well, you know, a lot of offensive minded people, and this isn't just boxing, this is other sports as well. They think that a good offense is a great defense. Now that works at a certain level to your point base, but once you step up the ranks, you got to have that defensive capability as well, and can't just rely on the fact that your offense is so intimidating, is so fast and so powerful that in itself is preventing your opponent from essentially throwing back and trying to get off their work. So that's a very good point. As for the Kelvin Davis fight, he fought a guy named Kevin Johnson, who I thought gave him a very good fight. I don't think Kevin Johnson was treated fairly on the scorecards as well. That fight was far more competitive than the scorecards would indicate. You guys can go watch that. Keyshawn Davis, foul-filled fight. Unbelievable that the referee didn't take points away. Both guys were fouling nonstop. Keyshawn was pushing a lot on the inside, using his forearms to move his opponent, Madueno, back. Madueno was, you know, hitting anything he could hit. At one point, lifted up Keyshawn Davis and almost threatened to body slam him. Almost hit the referee in one.
No, he did hit the ref. He caught him.
Yeah. Well,
Hit him in the eye.
I don't have the benefits of replay where I am, so I'm seeing it there live, and I'm seeing the angles that I'm seeing it from.
I saw
Again,
that bit on Twitter.
no point taken away. By the way, I think Abdullah Mason beats Keyshawn Davis based on what I've seen in the last few fights, and Abdullah Mason actually has more fights than Keyshawn does too. By the way, so even though Keyshawn's being platformed more, probably because he's older, he's 25, probably because he's got the Olympic pedigree. But I think that the blue chip prospect at 135 that Top Rank has is Abdullah Mason. We go to the co-main, and this is the one that caused a lot of controversy. Oshaki Foster, boxing, moving, counter punching, hitting accurately. Conceição moving forward, throwing a lot more, not necessarily being accurate. You have 3 inexperienced judges, especially at the world title level, judging this fight. Always a mistake, by the way. And I was saying this earlier on my own live stream. You guys can go and check it out later. Unfortunately, boxing judging is a very subjective endeavor. Boxing has more in common with figure skating and gymnastics than it does in terms of the way it's officiated than tennis or volleyball or football or basketball or all of these sports where we're now using technology and there's sensors all over the place. It can tell you if something's inbounds, out of bounds, whether it passed the line, didn't pass the line, was a goal, wasn't a goal. Boxing doesn't have any of that. We're literally going, that's a 10, that's a 9. I mean, like gymnastics and figure skating, like or ballroom dancing or any, you know, I know Dani and Bass, they love their little pageants that they like to watch, like Miss World, Miss Universe, etc. So
these unnecessary shots. I thought you was going to say about the Olympic diving.
Then shout out to Albert Johnson for gifting the membership to the channel to one of the lucky people in the chat. Thank you very much, Albert. Go ahead, Maestro.
I didn't know you could do that, so that's cool. Anyways, I'm just kidding with my brethrens. You know, they're talking about abs and stuff earlier, so I figured they, you know, like the bikini contest and stuff, but it's fine. So the point is that here in the United States, especially, you've got a lot of judges that see a guy moving forward, and when they don't know what to write at the end of the round, they're like, well, you know, that guy was moving forward, that guy was throwing more punches, that guy won the round. And you get enough of those rounds being jotted that way on a score sheet, you end up with a decision like we got last night. Now, I watched back the commentary. I didn't watch the full fight on television, and oftentimes when I watch a fight on TV after watching it live, I get a different opinion of it. I don't think it was a shutout performance like the way ESPN had it, but there's a lot of middle ground between shutout performance and the actual result of the fight. So being there, I thought Oshaki Foster won. Being there, I thought he boxed well and was behind the jab and was, you know, pot shotting. But, you know, could he have done more in retrospect? Absolutely. He could have done more. You know, and at times it felt like a sparring session. And there were long spells in this fight where people to my left and people to my right really weren't or not that interested or entertained by it. So you go to the main event, speaking about being interested and entertained, it was Shakur's last fight on his Top Rank contract. There's been a lot of talk about the fact that he might be leaving Top Rank. He was offered $15 million, 3-fight minimum over 5 fights. They said, if you want to fight Baranchyk, you got to re-up with us. This is according to him. He didn't take the $15 million deal. So as things stand, this was his last fight. As things stand, he's now a free agent. But going into a free agent situation, you'd think he would have really been trying to put on a more spectacular performance. It brings me no pleasure to say this. The biggest cheers he had were when he was walking out to the ring with his rap music entrance. There wasn't that much cheering of his actual performance. And by the 9th, definitely 10th round, I'd say started really in the 9th, there were loud boos, and people were starting to leave the arena.
The commentary sounded bored. The commentary team sounded bored, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and this was in his hometown. So there's this narrative out there. Eddie Hearn's partially responsible for it, saying that Shakur hasn't been promoted well by Top Rank. I personally don't agree with that. It's very rare for me to take the side of a promoter over a fighter, but I actually think that Top Rank's done a great job with Shakur. He debuted on ESPN coming off of the Olympics. All his fights have been under ESPN Top Rank. He's had sold out shows in arenas, something that very few fighters in the United States do, actually. It's a handful. Tank, Errol Spence Jr., Bud Crawford in Omaha. Maybe now recently, Bam. But U.S.-based fighters from the U.S. selling out arenas is not common. And this is Key was doing that under Top Rank ESPN. And when I hear Eddie saying, oh, well, he wasn't promoted properly, my question is, well, who have you promoted in the United States better than Shakur, and how would you have promoted Shakur differently? I'm not saying that to be critical. People hear me say that and it's, oh, he's hating. I'm not hating. I'm just asking a question. Anyway,
I think what he means is, so I think what he means why he wasn't promoted properly, I think he's talking about more recently, because it's been clear sort of within the last 3-4-ish type fights that he wasn't looking to re-up that contract. So I think he means they're not doing their promotional diligence for him now when he should be getting it. This is like the prime time when you've got the other big fights to make. This is where you should be making his name bigger, and you're kind of giving him opponents that aren't gonna help his marquee value ultimately. I think that's kind of what Eddie was referring to. That's how I took it anyway.
What do you think? Did that happen, Maestro? The crowd leaving when he was about to go into
it absolutely happened. And there were people that were video recording it. I didn't want to do that and put it out there because it's like, that's just kind of kicking somebody when they're kind of down. But I'll confirm it now that I heard that they were showing it on ESPN. 15 million. Once they said that, then I'll talk about it. But I wasn't going to be that guy that's like, the people were leaving the arena. But look, 15 million, 3-fight minimum. So if you're on pay-per-view, the upside on that can go up. You're being told that you'll be able to fight Barincic in a unification fight, which gives you more leverage to fight the winner of Loma Tank Davis if that fight happens, or even whoever it is that either of those two guys fight, or whoever wins those fights, right? So it never really made that much sense. Like, why you're gonna turn this down for not much on the other side? And the thing is, he blames Top Rank for not getting the fights, but Top Rank can't force Loma to fight him. Top Rank can't force Gambosis to fight him. Top Rank definitely can't force Tank Davis to fight him.
I was listening to you live when you said that. Sometimes the fighter can want it, your promoter can want it, but if the other fighter doesn't want it, there's nothing you can do about it.
Absolutely. I have fighters that I manage, and it's like, I've been offered fights from promoters like, yo, do you think you could get your guy ready? I was like, yeah. They're like, okay, we're going to talk to the other guy now, who's their fighter, and then their team turns down the fight. I don't want to say any names, but like big name fighters have turned down fights with my guys because they don't want them. You know what I mean? So
risk reward,
the promoter cannot force these guys to take fights. It's up to the fighter, and it's up to the fighter's management. I don't understand how Shakur doesn't realize that. Like, you ended up fighting Yoshino for a vacant WBC title. By the way, that was great that they got you that opportunity. You did it at a hometown sellout show in Newark, on ESPN, on Top Rank, right? You only were in that position because Loma didn't want to fight you. Gambosis didn't want to fight you. Tank Davis didn't want to fight you, right? Devin Haney offered some low ball figures in his eyes, right, to fight him at 140 for the WBC belt. He turned that down, if you guys remember. William Zepeda, the basis point, wasn't looking to fight any of his the champions where he was in the #1 slot, including Shakur for a vacant title. So they were going down the list, and they found a guy from Japan, quite predictably. It's part of their culture. They fight anybody in Japan, pretty much. It's very rare for a Japanese fighter to turn down fights. So they went out to Yoshino. They got Yoshino. They brought Yoshino over here. He fought Yoshino. it sold out. Apparently, it did good numbers on TV. It's like, I don't know what Top Rank else Top Rank could have done personally. Another thing he said is that he's actually happy with the way Top Rank has developed him as a fighter. He's just frustrated with, in the past few fights, he hasn't gotten the fights he wants.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, yeah. Look, I was lucky enough to watch the card literally a few hours ago, just before I went to the gym, and then made it back here for this. So I wasn't, studying it, moment for moment, but I saw it was actually a Spanish broadcast, so I got to kind of brush up on some of my Spanish listening to the commentary. Yeah, so they showed from the Abdullah Mason fight.
You need to brush
So
up
yeah,
on your Spanish mates.
because I go to a lot of Spanish-speaking countries, I need to communicate with the locals. I mean, this is common knowledge.
Le gusta las dominicanas.
Oh.
October
See.
Red.
Any
Yeah,
specifics?
sí, hombre.
Las
DR
cubanas
is-
también, las
Federico.
cubanas también no son las dominicanas.
No, Dominican Republic's his second home.
Yeah, you should have used that as an excuse instead of sitting there smirking.
Yeah,
It's
Grande
not an
Culo.
excuse. Everyone knows that. That's
Mm.
anyway. What was we got? Yeah, so I watched Abdullah Mason against Luis LeBron, and yeah, like I said, I enjoyed the performance. I thought it was almost punch perfect, as we discussed earlier, but I like the spitefulness, and I like the fact that he doesn't hang. He isn't someone that's looking just to sort of counter punch and hang back. I thought I really like the fact that he's he can be front foot aggressive. He can wait for the counter. He can use those angles. And I just feel like he's got many different facets to his game to continue unlocking at such a young age. He's what, isn't he, like 20? Is he 22? Maestro, is he younger than that?
Cormel Morton? Sorry,
No,
sorry, I got
Abdullah Mason.
distracted. You're talking about Abdullah Mason. Yeah, I think
thought he
he's
was younger
under
than that.
20. I think he's under 22.
Okay, it might be 2021 then.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure he's 20 years old.
I'll check.
Okay, so yeah,
Cormel
there you go.
Morton's
So
20 years old.
yeah. So when you look at obviously that and you see how multifaceted he is now, it's quite scary to think what he can become if he remains disciplined, which is obviously the biggest thing, and especially in a lot of the young talented guys' careers. Do they want to stay disciplined? Do they want to remain on track and all of that? But yeah, really enjoyed it. Spiteful, as you said, punching power, knows where to place those shots, knows where to find those. Like, it was almost those pressure points. You used to watch those old kung fu movies and they teach you about the pressure points, and you strike and you strike that one point and you keep striking that one point. Like, he definitely seems like that in the ring. So
Oh, thank you, Base. I've been telling fighters to do that. Go for pressure points for ages, but they don't listen. It's a cheat, but it works. You got a lovely one in your neck, but I don't need to go there. Yeah,
that's not a legal punch.
Well, if you miss the head, it might be.
No, the neck is legal. The neck is legal.
Yeah, well, not the part of the neck she's referring to.
As long as it's the
I'm
side
not about a throat
of the
punch.
neck, not the back. But
No. Pressure points, man. Pressure points. I like what you've said there, because not a lot of fighters don't do that.
I think the fact that he's very... Sorry, go ahead, Base.
No, go for it. Go for it.
No, I was just gonna say his faith, I think, is something that's gonna help him a lot in terms of his discipline as well. He's practicing Muslim. He does his prayers. He doesn't drink. He literally just lives and trains, and that's it.
Bit like Daniel Dubois.
Yeah. In Daniel's case, it's Christianity. In his case, in Abdullah Mason's case, it's Islam. But the fact is, he's grounded spiritually in something that keeps him focused on, not doing things that will hurt his career, as we've seen with examples of other people recently in the sport of boxing.
Okay, fair enough. Well, in that case, I've got a lot less worries. But yeah, like I said, amazing talent, and probably it's scary to what he can become. Gotta love heel. Gotta love heel. Anyway, so you man a proper derail in the chat today, but yeah, I saw Keyshawn Davis and what was it, Miguel Medrano. Now that
Dueño,
fight, yeah. Now I will, what I'll say about that is Medrano has got a chin. I'll give him that. He took some very big blooded shots. Now I don't know if that's to say that Keyshawn isn't the biggest of punches, which I don't think he is. I think he's more accurate than he is like heavy-handed. But he pretty much threw everything he could at Medrano from round 3 up to like I think round 8, and I think at that point he almost decided, you know what, this is long. Let me just survive the rest because I'm not going to get this guy out of it. And as you say, we saw the referee get hit. We saw 2 attempts at a body slam, one by Keyshawn and then the other one by Medrano, which was a lot more. You could tell that he was definitely thinking, I'm going to drop this guy. I think something just the back of his head kept him just in that moment for the ref to be able to jump in and say, no, wait, put him down. He literally picked him up like a child. It was a bit mad. I don't know, if I was Keyshawn, I'd feel a bit emasculated if that happened. Still, just the way man was just carrying him, walking him back like it was WWE. I would have had to throw a punch in that moment or something just to get my own back. But that being said, look, it was a fun performance, and I know Keyshawn said at the end of it that he he likes those kind of fights. I'm not gonna lie, he didn't really look like he liked it when he was in the ring. He looked like, okay, this isn't the script, this isn't what I want. Like, and several times he's dipping down, like bending down, like he's trying to take a knee to get the ref to sort of get the guy off of him. So yeah, to me, I think it was a good fight for him in terms of just like how, I guess, grueling it was, even though it was a pretty comprehensive like victory. But I don't know how many more of those you really want, especially when you're kind of still on your building process. But yeah, talking about chief support, Shaki Foster and Robson Conceição. Now I watched this fight. I wasn't actively scoring it at the time, but I was just watching it sort of round by round this earlier on. And yeah, like all of the clean punching came from Shaki Foster for at least 10 of the 12 rounds that I saw. A lot of the punches that Conceição was throwing were either hitting arms or they were missing. There was very few punches that got in up top, upstairs. Yeah, he was moving forward at times, but there was also times he was getting kind of pushed back a bit. And I feel like it's only because Oshaki was literally just that comfortable. He thought, I just outboxed the guy. And to be honest, to me, it wasn't like a masterful clinic. I'm not going to say that, but he comprehensively beat him on the back foot, very similar to what, as we said earlier, Jasmina Zapatochna did with Maisie Rose Courtney. Like just too fast, too elusive, out of the way, clean shots, 1-2. Every time I'm throwing my shots out, they're landing and causing effect. Every time you throw a shot, they're being smothered, they're missing, or they're being countered. And that's kind of what I saw throughout the majority of the rounds. So when I heard split decision, and then I see, Conceição with the victory, yeah, I thought that was a horrible work. And there again, we a lot of the time we don't really like to throw around, words, robberies and whatnot. I definitely think that was a robbery. We're not saying it was the worst one. I'm not saying it's the worst one I've seen, but it was very comprehensively done, because there's very few rounds, if I'm honest, that I could actually give to Conceição watching that fight. He just looked out of sorts for the majority of it. But it just goes to show that was his 4th title fight, I think, in 7 fights, 7/maybe 8 fights. It's almost like they were desperate for him to win a world title for some strange reason. And they just kept giving him opportunity after opportunity. Eventually he was going to have to get one. And I guess this is the one that they chose. It's a very odd thing though, unless they're trying to build a kind of a fight base out in Brazil or something, which is possible. But to have like a 35-year-old Brazilian with no real up market in the US just like get shot after shot after shot, even though yes, he was an Olympic gold medalist. It seems as if there was an ulterior motive as to how that kind of took place, or how he kept getting those opportunities. But yeah, I
Are
feel
you
bad
talking
for
about
Shaki. You
from
thought,
top rank?
well, yeah, well, the fact of giving him all of those opportunities after opportunity. I'm not saying they paid the judges, but ultimately they got judges who clearly were gonna favor maybe his come forwardness as opposed to Shaki slick back foot fighting.
Well, there's two things about that base. The first thing is, if we're talking about his title shots, right? The first title shot he had was against Valdez, right? Where Valdez popped dirty, but then they still fought the fight. And I actually thought Conceição won that fight, personally. So I do think he earned the right to fight again. The second fight, if you remember, where he fought for a world title was against Shakur Stevenson, where
He blew the weight. Yeah.
blew the weight. Conceição had every right not to go forward with the fight, but saved the show and decided to fight even though Shakur didn't come in at weight and put up game performance. He got outboxed, but I don't see that as nefarious. I just see that as the guy earned shots to come back, but I don't want to derail the discussion.
Yeah, but I just feel as if that it's I just feel that if you get so many opportunities, it's almost like at some point you're gonna get one of them. Like it's almost like it's being willed in your favor in some way, shape, or form. Now, I'm not saying he didn't deserve the shots, because after the Navarrete fight, he definitely deserved another shot after getting the draw, when realistically he did win that, even though he did get dropped twice in that fight. But
he was also number one ranked by the WBC, right?
Yeah, but the WBC, their rankings are all like they're a rule unto themselves these days. Let's be honest. But again, I'm not even gonna, I'm not saying it's conspiracy in that sense. I just think that everything was aligning for him in this moment. He took advantage of it, but I'm just thinking, again, as I said, a 35-year-old Brazilian with no market in the US, unless there's maybe an opportunity that they've got, like they're thinking of going outside of the States, or they've got maybe a plans to do something big in Brazil. It just seems odd that he constantly gets opportunities when he's not. I don't believe he's a ticket seller. He's not that guy, kind of thing. So it's not even like there's reasons to keep bringing him back, apart from the fact that he was the gold medalist. So that's just my thoughts on it. If he was obviously from a more Spanish descent, it would make sense, because the USA, Latino culture or whatnot, but Portuguese is not really the same thing. But look, he got the victory, undeserved. Shaki Foster was, he was devastated, almost looked like he wanted to cry in the ring, and I wouldn't blame him, because when you've comprehensively won a fight that I think 99% of the people who watched it believed that you won comprehensively, to sort of get screwed on the cards like that. And it feels bad. He's got one fight left on the top rank card. He says he wants the rematch, but even Mark Krieger was saying, I don't know how readily they're going to give you the rematch, but you do have one fight left on your deal. Like, what do you want to do? He's like, give me the rematch. Don't ask me what I want. I've told you I want the rematch. Tell me about, I don't know if you're going to get it. Like, then that clearly tells you there could be a bit of an agenda. But yeah, feel bad for him. Outside of that, very quickly on Shakur Stevenson and Artem Haratunian, it was a pretty comprehensive performance from Shakur. He won almost every round after the first. I didn't agree with the 116, 112 card. The other two were fine, 119, 109, 118, 110. But again, it's just another unfortunate lackluster performance by Shakur. And not lackluster in the sense that he didn't do anything right, but he just didn't do anything extra to push on. And especially considering you're about to get into free agency, the impetus should be on you now to, even if it means taking a few more punches than you usually would, like get your market value up, because right now your value is in the toilet. You are a highly skilled but low value commodity. And if you thought that the 15 million 5-fight deal from Top Rank was maybe either beneath it, or you thought you can get more than that, I tell you now, Matchroom ain't gonna pay you more. Golden Boy ain't gonna pay you more. PBC can't pay you more because they ain't even got no fight dates at this point in time. Who are you gonna go with? Like Frank Warren ain't gonna pay you that. The Saudis ain't gonna have you over there having people booing you for 10, 12 rounds. So like you've just created a whole different problem for yourself. Especially if, as you said, Maestro, he was offered obviously the chance to fight Berinchek next. Obviously, yeah, that's not the fight he wants, but because it's a unification, at least it gives you the leverage to possibly get the other guys afterwards. But yeah, winning the fight the way he did in the corner, you heard him. Like, oh well, you know, how am I going to be able to break this guy that he don't want to engage? And then they're like, well, you're gonna have to find other ways to deal with him. But ultimately, he couldn't. Then he puts on the you know, the t-shirt, you know, from Lomachenko and Bob saving his son from this ass whooping. Okay, maybe he is, but guess what? You're not bringing enough to the table right now for him to make it viable, unfortunately.
100%.
So yeah, so I feel bad for him in one sense, but this is also like of his own making. When he said before, you know, well, you know, I'll do this for me, like as long as I win, I don't care about, you know, what you guys think. And that's what he was saying a couple fights ago, and it's now sort of coming around to bite him. And I hope he can get some big fights so that he can prove, as he's saying, that he is that guy that he thinks he is, or that he said we'll see the best of him when he's got the biggest fights. But also those biggest fights come with the biggest punches, and we've seen what you're like when you face big punches. So I don't know if what he's saying stacks up. I hope it does, but ultimately last night just wasn't the swan song that, you know, he needed it to be. So very interesting to see kind of what goes next with that. October, I know you saw a bit of it. Give us your thoughts, and then Danny, you kind of go and give yours
I was
afterwards.
about to say, somebody else has said what I did in the chat. They watched a couple of rounds and then switched it off. So unfortunately, that's what happened with me. So I apologise. Haven't really got much feedback to say on it. You know, I was watching it and then I went running. I was listening to the commentary. The commentary sounded quite disinterested themselves, and they were sort of not necessarily commenting on the fight, but were talking about other things, which makes me think they're disinterested. I will go back and watch it, maybe not. But no, I didn't watch all of it. But what I do want to say is thank you to everybody that is here in the chat live. We really appreciate you guys. There's a little banner going across the bottom. You can subscribe to our individual channels. But what I will say halfway through this, because we've still got some other bits that we want to cover, is all four of us are going to be setting up a separate channel. Still debating on the name for it. But please check out our community pages, because we'll be posting the link for that channel. And this debate will then go on to just a sole channel just for us four. So yeah, future progression. And we're going to build that channel, and we'll do like the boxing talk. We'll do the hangouts. We'll do this, but on a channel that is dedicated to just the four of us. So thank you to everyone that's in the chat. We love it. We love the engagement. But if you could help the algorithm, please share, like, subscribe, all of that magical, but boring stuff for you. But we'd appreciate it as it helps the algorithm.
Yes. So from what I saw, first of all, we'll start with Tony Pugilist's guy, Abdullah Mason. He's been championing him for a very long time. Tall for the weight, 5'9" for a lightweight. So, you know, tall for the weight, good punching power. As you know, as expressed earlier, he's very good at punch accuracy. His accuracy is very good. Good at doing those Beterbiev type shots. When you put the earmuffs on, going around the guard, hitting just like on the ear, behind the ear, around these equilibrium areas. You know, very stylish, good combinations. Seems very dedicated. He's from Ohio, originally from Cleveland, but now lives in Bedford, Ohio. You know, Ohio is a good stomping ground for a lot of good fighters over the years. You know, he's got those, well, he's even got those shorts similar to Adrian Broner, who's from Ohio, but obviously seems a lot more level-headed. Alicia Baumgartner's from Ohio, Sean Porter's from Ohio.
Adrian Broner.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Jared Anderson.
Yep, Gerard Anderson. Bunny, what's his name? The tall guy. Adrian Broner's guy. Robert Easter Jr.
Ray Boom Boom Mancini.
Yeah, so yeah, a lot of fighters from the Midwest, got that Midwest style, catching. As Bay said, yeah, he does eat a few shots, but I think that helps him get his offense off, because if you think about someone like Shakur now, later on in the card, he's a bit too defensive where he ain't able to step on the gas and go through the gears, where Abdullah, it makes for a more engaging and exciting sort of sequence, the way he's able to put his punches together. Obviously, as he gets through the ranks, bigger punchers and people are able to, slip and slide and, a bit more skilled than that, he will have to tighten up his defense. But I think he will. He's learning. He's 20 years old. But yeah, very good prospect. I like the finish. Turns his punches over very well. Also, regarding O'Shaki Foster, first of all, I saw that his brother, I think is his brother, lost on the card earlier on the night as well, William Foster. So yeah, it seemed like a bad night, but I think that they've been trying to rob O'Shaki Foster for a while now. You saw they tried to rob him where he had to, get that come from behind TKO win out in Japan. So maybe there is some kind of agenda against O'Shaki Foster for whatever reason, to try and get the belt off him, because Conceição is not the guy you really, normally when you sort of bump fighters, it's normally a fighter who probably has a higher ceiling, sales or something like that. But Conceição, as you said, base Portuguese, there's not really a market for that, especially not out in the Americas. So I'm not sure why they chose him as the guy, but it's just like they wanted to take the belt off of O'Shaki for some unknown reason, which is unfortunate. As you can see, he was heartbroken. He's thinking, now my next fight, my wages is going down. It doesn't even seem like he had a rematch clause in the contract, why he's having to basically argue, I want that fight next on my last fight. So it doesn't seem like he's got that in the contract. So it seems like he's been done over here. So something bad's going on, and I feel really bad for him.
Yeah, but this is where you have to get like a solid management team, or you really have to learn the business side of boxing. You have to learn what you're signing to. There's a point where everyone can turn around and start blaming each other, but sometimes the fighters need to take a little bit of accountability and read what they're signing, not thinking, okay, I'm going to get this massive payday, I'm not going to read the rest of it. Read what you're signing, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's signing your life away, and then you can't sit there and moan later because things didn't work out, especially if it was written in the contract.
I'm just not understanding this whole pro. By the way, he's not Portuguese; he's Brazilian, but pro Brazilian boxing bias. It's like, first of all, boxing's not even that popular in Brazil. Like the biggest fighter prior to Conceição that come out of Brazil was Acelino Popo Freitas, who fought Cosa Maior in those battles, and who, for whatever reason, Floyd Mayweather never wanted to fight. Since then, they've had Patrick Teixeira, who kind of got an upset win for a world title and had a very relatively short world title reign. You see a lot of these journeymen going from Brazil over to the UK to get knocked out. A couple have made their way over here to the US. There isn't really a large Brazilian expat community in the United States compared to, I don't know, like pretty much most countries in America, Jamaica, Mexico, Cuba, Dominican, Venezuela, Colombia. I just don't see any reason why they would be doing like this subterfuge to promote Conceição. I just think it was a bad decision. End of story. I don't know, maybe I'm missing something. I'm just not seeing all of the conspiracies on this one, because none of it doesn't make sense. Because honestly, you put Foster in there in a unification fight with Lamont Roach, that's a bigger fight than Conceição versus Lamont Roach.
But with the Brazil, they've got beat.
Danny, one second. Just before you carry on, one thing I would say about that: if you've got Conceição against Lamont Roach, that's a much cheaper fight to do, and it's a unification. So, in budget-wise, that could work a lot better in your favor.
Yeah. Yeah, Brazil, they've got Beatrice Ferreira as well now coming through.
What are we talking about? The difference between like $300,000 and $400,000? It's not like these guys are getting paid astronomical figures. Oh, I'm being serious. I mean, what do you guys think Oshaki Foster made last night? Like,
I don't know. I'm not
low six figures is my guess. I mean, Conceição made even less money. I mean, it's not like we're talking about. I don't know. I'm all for the conspiracy theories because a lot of conspiracy theories actually end up being correct. I mean, they said, if you didn't believe that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, you were believing in a conspiracy theory. No, the conspiracy theory was what the other people were saying, not what us saying that they didn't have it. So look, I've always been about anti-establishment narrative. Same with Assad in Syria, with what he was accused of doing, or Gaddafi in Libya. I could go on, but I'm just not seeing any kind of conspiracy that makes sense to wreck Oshaki Foster to promote Robson's Conceição. I'm just not seeing it.
No, it's not that. I think they've got something against Oshaki because you've been trying to do him on the cards a few times. But that's hopefully he gets a rematch. If he hasn't got in the contract rematch clause, then hey man, he needs to sort, as October Red said, then he should have. So it's got to be some liability of looking at your management and your clauses of things you're signing, because as a champion you should always try to get a rematch clause, because you never know what's going to happen.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you never know. And regarding Shakur Stevenson, funny enough, me and you, Maestro, we was talking literally a couple of days ago. You know, you were saying that he's a big ticket seller, because I said the problem I feel with guys like Shakur Stevenson and who was the other fighter we were talking about? Because I'm saying the problem is they're struggling to find themselves a fan base, because Shakur, no, it was someone else, because Shakur tries to play on this Puerto Rican thing, but the Puerto Ricans ain't getting behind him like that. That's it, Teofimo Lopez, because he goes down this Honduras thing. He's boxing for Honduras. Then he ain't even from New York like that, but then he tries to rep New York.
Now he's saying he's Spanish, and he's having the ESPN people put up the Spanish flag graphic behind his name and the ESP abbreviation beside his name. He only fought for Honduras because he didn't make the U.S. Olympic team.
So as with that, Shakur, his last two fights stinkers. I'm so glad that I didn't stay up for it. I watched it today though, and I was like, he's moaning. He's saying, Harutunin had his track shoes on. I was thinking, I watched the fight. No, he didn't. He was standing in the pocket, taking shots. And Shakur, if you're talking about, his track shoes, what can I do if the man don't want to fight? Well, what your last opponent could say that about you. You didn't really come to fight. You was literally running and ducking. You was chipping like shots of fire.
Dani, I'm so happy you mentioned this, because he was complicit too. Because at the end of the day, and I know you saw this, he's in the southpaw stance. Artem's in a orthodox stance. He's moving Artem back, right? And Artem is moving to Artem's left. All he had to do was close off the escape, pivot to the right a little bit, throw a right hook, throw a left hand. He was complicit in letting him circle out. He wanted to occupy center ground and box his way to a 12-round unanimous decision. There was no urgency to close off the escape routes, to really punish Artem when he was getting Artem towards the ropes, and to try to finish the fight. I didn't see it. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that. He's saying, when I go back to the gym, I'm going to work on cutting off the ring. You know how to cut off the ring, Shakur. You're a very experienced amateur and pro. You know how to cut off the ring, because you cut off the ring very well against Mr. Semper Fi,
Jamel
Herring. So you didn't want to cut off the ring. You're very safety first. There's something suspect about you, man. I'm not rating you like that. You're a good skilled fighter, but there's something about you which seems suspect. I think them whiskers are suspect. You don't want to get hit. I can see you don't want to get hit, and I can see when there's going to be a time he's gonna get tagged, and he's gonna go, and he's gonna cry, because I've seen him cry before, and you cry again. There's some, you're going to become a free agent, and you're not going to get the deal you think you're going to get. You should have took the 15 mil, because if you think you're going to get 3 mil a fight or 5 mil a fight, you got another thing coming, sunshine. You know, you've got a nice smile. You know, you're cute kid, but your fighting is not entertaining. The fans, the paying public, the fans are getting cheated by you, son. You're StubHubbing. You're secondary market fighting. You're not like, you don't want to engage. Look at Abdullah Mason. As I said, yeah, he takes a couple of clips here and there, but he's getting busy. You're there, you know, and also you're pot shotting like you're some big puncher. You're not a big puncher. You've got to let your hands go and get those stoppages. You've got
especially
to try
against Artem, who's not really heavy-handed himself.
Hold on, Maestro. I'm on gas mark 6 right now. Let the oven roast. Let the roast. You know, you're not a puncher like that. You need to start letting your hands go so you can get them stoppages. You know, you're not a big puncher. You're pot shotting like your Tank David. Even with your last stoppage against Jamel Herring, you only got it because the cut was getting bad. You wasn't really rocking and rolling him like that, you know. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna stay up ever to watch you fight. I'm watching you next day. You know, Base the Kid, he can send me that on that link. You know, you normally send me where I can watch the playback, unless they put it on YouTube, you know, nice and quickly like they did today. Top Rank don't normally do that, but shout out Bob for getting that one on nice and early for me. But yeah, I'm not staying up to watch you as main event, because you ain't main event material. You're not pay-per-view material. Yeah, man, you're disappointing. You know, listen, he's got some very good olders, because Terence Crawford and Andre Ward, they're sitting in his change room still. They're still co-signing him. They're still giving him the big ups. They're trying their best, man. They're trying their best, but he ain't no Terence Crawford. He ain't no Andre Ward. Good skilled fighter, but very not entertaining. And I can see he's gonna get knocked. He's gonna get beat one of these days. I know that, you know, Starter likes to really push the Shakur Stevenson, really push that Tank Davis, but I don't think he is what you think he is, Starter. You know, shout out Boxing Casuals Corner, shout out Tony Pugilist. Listen, Abdullah Mason needs to start heading these cards, man. Also, what's his name? Keyshawn Davis. I saw him at the, you know, the weigh-in. You know, he was doing all the big eyes and trying to do the scary stuff, putting his hands in faces. You know, where the old boy had to, you know, tell him like, let's chill, champ, chill. Then he's like hitting after the bell, and the Mundira guy has, you know, punched the ref in the eye, and the ref's done a football dive, like he's really sold the punch, where we've seen refs eat shots before nice and easy, but this one he was diving. He was trying to get his little highlight reel going, or I don't know, maybe he was looking for a bit of compensation at the end of the night. I don't know. But then yeah, I thought that what's his name? Mundira? I thought he was gonna do the proper, because he cradled him, and it looked like he was definitely gonna body slam him, and then after he allowed him, then Keyshawn tried to headlock him down. He's like, but that was actually a good fight. Harrington, he had a good showing against what's his name? The one Tank just knocked out the other day.
Frank Martin.
Frank Martin, yeah, good showing against him. That was a very good fight. Frank Martin just about won that. The knockdown kind of got him over the line there. So yeah, that was a good learning fight for Keyshawn Davis. And I agree with you, Maestro and Base, you agreed as well, that I think that Abdullah Mason beats Keyshawn. But yeah, as someone said in the chat earlier, Keyshawn, he needs to pipe down a little bit, because he's still got what's his name?
Andy Cruz.
Andy Cruz problems. Thank you very much, Base. He's still got Andy Cruz problems, and he ain't calling that names. He's going, I'm calling out these fighters. I'm not saying no names no more. They know who they is. They know who they is, but come on, you ain't saying Andy. You never said Andy Cruz's name. I know who you're calling out. You're calling out Tank. You're calling out, I don't know, some of these other guys. But I know
that are never gonna fight you, because you have 11 fights and they're world champions, and they're gonna make more money fighting guys with names.
Exactly, but he's not called in Andy Cruz. He's never called it, and he's never got. Well, I'm not saying he's never gone to, but he hasn't called it thus far, and he wasn't insinuating it last night. So
Didn't he lose to him 4 times, Danny?
Yeah, 4-0. And some people will say, "Hey, it's the amateurs," but I think even in the pros, it ain't nothing going to change but the weather and the price of the tickets. But yeah, that's my summary of the show. And yeah, big up Bob Aaron once again, always putting on good cards. So yeah, shout out.
You know, one thing, a criticism I heard, and Maestro, you can tell me if you agree or if you, but I know that you go to a lot of the events, especially the top ranked ones. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, because October is off, she's the one that controls the comments, so we can't actually take that one off the screen. So we're not just putting it there for the sake of it. But you go to these events, right? And a lot of criticism I hear, especially on the East Coast, like, you know, those areas, is that top rank cards finish way too late. Main events be coming on way too late in night, 11:30, 12 o'clock sometimes. You're normally there. Like, do they? I heard yesterday was actually a quicker. They actually got the main event on around about sort of 10:15-ish. So is that something that they have to work on moving forward, or is that like, or are you happy with the times at the main events?
Here's the unfortunate truth that a lot of boxing fans, especially hardcore fans, don't want to always hear. But boxing, especially on ESPN, is filler material. It's not the main course, right? So it's stuff that they're going to put on after college football or college basketball or professional sports, before they go to their nighttime like news shows, which they run until the morning hours, and then they do the sports talk stuff in the morning. So boxing's never going to take priority. It's always going to start later on Saturdays because they're going to put it after whatever main prime time sporting event that it is that they're televising. Does Top Rank do a worse job about it than the other promoters? Absolutely not. I'll give you an example. I left the arena yesterday and was on a train back to New York City that left New Jersey at about 12:45 a.m., right? The week before, the Bam Rodriguez Gallo Estrada fight, the main event, started at 1 a.m. So 15 minutes after I had boarded my train back to New York City, that main event was just starting. So, I mean, and I don't understand what the issue with DAZN is, because DAZN, at least in the United States, isn't competing with on their own platform with the NBA, college basketball, college football. I mean, you'd think they could just start the fights in the afternoon if they wanted to. In fact, you know what time I loved when they did a DAZN card here in the United States? It was when Conor Benn was fighting Pete Dobson in Vegas, and like the main event started here
at 11 a.m.
yeah, the main event started here at like, I don't know, like 5 in the afternoon or whatever. Like, you can still, you know, if you're married, you have a family, whatever, go out for dinner, you know, hang out at home, do whatever it is you want to do. None of that's possible when a fight card is starting, a fight main event is starting at 1 a.m. So would I like it to be earlier? Absolutely, I would. But I also understand the kind of television landscape here in the United States with all of these sporting events taking place during the day and then into primetime hours, and boxing having to come after that. I remember fight cards that have been delayed because of women's college softball, which during the playoff time, tournament time in the United States, does good ratings on ESPN. So boxing gets delayed for that. If you're delaying it for college women's softball, you're going to be delaying it for basketball and baseball events about American football, gridiron football, I should call it.
Okay.
It is what it is. But yes, they do start late.
I was going to say thank you for that. Do you think, lastly, before we get onto the last sort of topics to sort of touch on for tonight, do you think that they should, because obviously, look, America, very big place, and, you know, East Coast, West Coast, there's the 3-hour difference between those two time zones, especially. Yeah. Do you feel like they should try and do more in terms of you know, making things, you know, so I guess sync up between those? Because if you think about it, if they wanted to do like a West Coast event in the evening, the same as they would on the East Coast, they wouldn't be able to, because on the East Coast it would be like 1, 2 in the morning, right? But there is like their perfect time for their time zone. Do you think they should maybe link that up a bit better?
Yeah, the problem, I think the Zone can do whatever they want because they're their own platform. The problem with ESPN being on old school cable television, the equivalent of your Skybox out there in England, is that they have these big multi-billion-dollar contracts with, you know, NCAA, NFL, NBA, and those are always going to take priority over boxing. They're not going to show a boxing match in the afternoon or in the evening when they could be showing an NBA game that does way better ratings for them. So there's no excuse when it's an ESPN Plus card, right? Because you can put that on whenever you want. As a boxing fan, I would love it all to be afternoon, evening. That would be my preference, which is like why I love the UK and the Saudi card so much, because you know, I'm a teacher. I get to bed early. I'm up at like 5:30. You guys know it in the group chats, the times I'm responding to these messages. You know, it's early in the morning. That's when I get up. So when the weekend comes, my body clock is already telling me at 11, yo, it's time to lights out. Like, you got to go to bed. And instead, I'm like forcing myself to stay awake to watch some of these fights. It's insane.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. Right. Last couple topics. I guess the first one, because it's the most recent, Jack Catterall and Regis Prograis announcement was made for the 24th of August. And I want to say it that way because we are in the UK. I know for some reason they've adopted saying the month first and then the date, which never doesn't make sense to me. It's not August 24th, it's 24th of August over here. I spoke to Frank Smith about that, and he commented. I still haven't asked Eddie why he's adopted that all of a sudden, but I will do. Now, yeah, so with that being said, quick thoughts around the panel. Whoever wants to go, actually, October, you can go first because you was there at the press conference. What's your thoughts on the fight? Do you like it? And ultimately, yeah, what do you kind of want to take from it?
Brilliant press conference. It was good. It was kind of last minute. Nice to see Regis meet Regis Prograis, you know, former 2-time world champion, lovely gentleman. I just was trying to get around his mindset when he said he's kind of like, when he wins the world championships, he's kind of like, meh, I've done it. And he has this sort of like flippant attitude towards being a world champion. Therefore, he loses it and then he goes back and does it again. It's just, I was just trying to get around like his thinking, his way of thinking and why he does that. But equally, even though I might not agree or understand with why he does it the way he does it, it makes him more hungry coming in this fight, because obviously the carrot at the end of this fight is to put them both back into, you know, world title fight contention. Jack Catterall, you know, lovely, good trainer. It's a good fight. And I think Jamie Moore quite rightly said in the press conference, yeah, he's 35, you know, but I still think he's got more left in him. So we can't like go into this fight and think that, you know, because he's had this many fights, he's this age or whatever it is, we really can't overlook him. So yeah, I like the fight. We've got Terry Harper on there as well, fighting Rhiannon Dixon, which, you know, not being brutal about it, but it could be a finale for Terry Harper if she doesn't win it. And obviously Rhiannon Dixon is the up and coming. I'm aware that obviously Terry's gone back down a weight again. I get so confused with the way the ladies fluctuate the weight. I'd give up guessing what weight they're fighting at the moment. But yeah, I'm just waiting to hear. I think is it William Corolla? Anthony Corolla's brother, he's been signed to Matchroom, so he's on it. I'm hearing rumors that Gomez Jr. might be on it. Eddie's telling us that there's going to be, you know, potential another good fight on it. So I'm just waiting to see how the card's built, but I'll definitely be going to watch that fight.
Campbell Hatton's going to be on the card as well, for whatever that's worth. Dani, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, good fight. As we, myself, October, yourself, Base, we was at the World Resorts Arena when the fight was announced, when Tyler Denny defended his European title against Felix Cash. And I thought, yeah, that's a good fight. I thought it was going to be another fight for Catterall, but hey, this is a good fight, and it's going to be the first boxing fight at the
Co-op Live.
Live Arena, which is 23,000.
It's nice.
The biggest capacity indoor arena in the UK. So hopefully I will be there to see that, because that would be a good thing to witness. And yeah, the Rigaroo, shout outs to you, October, for the interview. I like that, even the pictures, he's looking at his kicks and stuff like that, showing the chain. So yeah.
I didn't like the shoes. I don't like those stiletto boots that the guys are wearing, because I was confused. I was like, what are they?
He's quite short, so I think he just wants to be a bit.
I ain't bothered about that. I ain't looking to date him. I just want to watch him fight. Do you know what I mean? I don't care about that.
Well, the light skinned brothers, they like to.
And I definitely don't business about them. So next.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, Jack Catterall, coming off a good victory against Josh Taylor. He, we thought he all deserved to win the first one. So yeah, he's got the momentum. I believe
I didn't.
Jack Catterall wins this on points.
Yeah,
I think he wins it on points. I know the Rigaroo, he's talking about, when I'm champion, I just think, man, I think that sounds a bit like an excuse why you don't get dominated by Devin like that, because you just thought.
He said he overlooked him. I think he sort of like alluded to, when do you remember that Rick James, like the True Life Stories with Rick James, and he says, I didn't like stamp my heels in his chair. Why would I do that for? And then in the same breath he went, yeah, I stamped my heels in his chair and blah blah blah. Do you remember that? You don't remember the Rick James? Oh, never mind.
No, I don't remember.
True Life Stories with Charlie Murphy.
Charlie Murphy. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Liberty.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that now. I remember it now. But but he got Bruck up. But hopefully this has ignited something, as you said, the dangling carrot. He's thinking a winner of this, there could be a Saudi bag at the end of it with a title shot.
The Saudi bag, is that what it is now? Are we all auditioning for the Saudi bag?
Well, I think a lot of American
real puppets in a show auditioning for Saudi bags. Is that what it is now?
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying, Saudi bag, I don't necessarily mean fighting in Riyadh, because these bags are going around in America now and the UK, because now they're hosting in various locations now. Do you know what I'm saying? So it don't necessarily have to mean fighting in the Middle East, because we've got, well, the subject we might talk about just after this, we're talking, some people are hoping that football's coming home with England, but boxing's finally coming home. We're on September the 21st, so people can stop crying. Yeah,
we do like to cry at boxing, don't we, as Brits? I think we're the most miserable fans. We love it, but then we just whinge.
Yeah, no, I think Americans are the most miserable fans, personally.
Really?
Yeah.
They're the worst losers. Oh my God, it's terrible. Sorry, Maestro, but yeah.
I mean, it also depends what sports.
He's not American.
At the end of the day.
In fact, to Maestro, isn't Maestro's a fraud?
No, Maestro.
No, I'm American in terms of the all-encompassing view of the word America. When Christopher Columbus sailed to these shores, he never landed in what became the United States when he, quote unquote, discovered America. He landed in the Caribbean. So America is North America plus Central America plus South America. But much like the confusion over AJ's counting his title belts, there's confusion over this. So apparently there's America,
you just have to go in there with Russia, don't you?
There's no the Americas.
Just wait until we get to, we're talking about Prograis at the moment.
One America. North plus Central plus South. That's it. It's not the United States of America is America. They're one part of America, but they like to claim all of it. So, you go down my mom's line through my grandmother, like we've been in America for as long as America has.
Maestro, I've got 22% of my battery left. Please, let's not do this.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Thank
Anyways,
you.
what were we talking about? Yeah. So
Yeah,
if
it's your turn to go. It's your turn to go. Catterall and Prograis. What's your thoughts?
Catterall and Prograis, good fight, makes business sense. They got to honor the contract with Regis. This is the best way to get Regis paid, to get Catterall paid, because the champions aren't going to fight either one of these two guys right now. So, because Liam Pyro just came off of a win, Teofimo just came off a win. Isaac Pitbull Cruz is fighting in August, and Devin Haney just vacated and is now in recess, and Sandor Martin is going to be fighting Alberto Puello for the 140 WBC. So the title belts were not available for these guys.
Yeah.
So this is the best fight that they could have done for Catterall, other than maybe putting him in against Josh again. But that wouldn't have sufficed to get Regis paid, because he has contractual obligations Eddie does to Regis. So you put these two guys together, you put it at this new arena in Manchester, you sell it, it does viewing numbers, everybody gets paid, everybody's happy. Now, as for the X's and O's of this fight, I used to rate Regis quite highly. I stopped rating him highly when I thought he lost to Danielito Zorrilla. I thought Zorrilla actually won that fight, and I was actually dumbfounded by the fact that Regis kept moving in the same direction over and over and over again, missing his jab by a meter and a half, 2 meters at a time. It was embarrassing. Go back and watch that fight. Like, you keep moving in the same direction over and over again, missing the same punch over and over again. Move the opposite way and throw your left hand. Like, it was insane to watch. And by the way, I thought Danielito actually got a knockdown that wasn't scored in that fight. And I thought he won that fight close, but won it. Should have won. Flash forward, he gets shut out by Devin Haney and gets dropped by Devin Haney. When's the last time you seen Devin Haney get a clean knockdown like that?
Twice.
2019.
A while ago. And he got it against Regis Prograis in his last fight. Regis didn't win a minute of any round of that fight. So who do I think is going to win? Catterall is going to win. Catterall is on the ascension. He's ascending. And Regis is on the decline. So contractual obligations, they get paid,
fulfilled.
But I don't think Regis is winning this fight. And in terms of where the guys go after this fight, I don't know if Regis will still be signed to Matchroom after this. I doubt it. As for Catterall, fam, you take Catterall to Australia, you try to do that. I don't think they'll do a cross promotion necessarily to get the winner of Puello versus Martin, because Martin is signed to Top Rank, Puello's with the PBC. But I think the logical move would be a Catterall versus Liam Pyro after this fight.
That's a good fight.
Yeah, look, it's a decent fight, a good fight, best that they could make, given the circumstances. I'll keep it short. That's pretty much my thoughts on it. And when it comes around, I'll do my usual sort of analysis and prediction, see if I get it right. Not sure if I'll be in attendance, but if I can make it work, I'll go there, same as the rest of you guys. Cool. Now, last one, because I've got 20% left on my battery. We have to talk about. We are on the vacant. Well, no, I guess it's no longer vacant. There is an actual IBF. No, there is an actual IBF champion, although there shouldn't be, really, if we're going to be honest. But Dynamite Daniel Dubois has now been given the IBF belt, and he will be taking on Anthony Joshua at Wembley Stadium, the big house, for that IBF title. I know that, for purposes of champion, it's Dubois versus Joshua, but from purpose of the show, it is actually Joshua versus Dubois. He is the unmitigated A side in this event.
Joshua. He's the champ.
On the poster, it's Joshua versus Dubois.
That's wrong. That's very disrespectful.
It's disrespectful, but it's correct. The A side always gets the front of the poster, but Joshua will have to walk first. That is the one thing. He will walk first, even though Katie Taylor didn't when she fought Chantel Cameron in the first fight. But that's another story. But yes, all right, because this is Maestro's guy. Dangerous, Dynamite, Deptford, Daniel Dubois. You go for it. What's your thoughts on the fight and the card as a whole?
Well, the card as a whole, I like the card. I like the Buatsi versus Willie Hutchinson fight. I think that's intriguing. I love the fact that Hamza Shiraz is back out. He's the ambassador for Riyadh season. He's going to be representing His Excellency, His Honorable Turki Al Sheikh, the man that's making big moves in boxing. As it relates to the main event, look, it's a very intriguing matchup because we have one guy that's going up and we have another guy that's been going down for quite a while now. And, I got to give AJ his due respect. After all, he is an 8-time heavyweight champion of the world. We get that, right? But we also have to give Daniel Dynamite Dubois his respect because he is the uncrowned, unified heavyweight champion of the world. He was robbed last year in Poland.
We are still doing this.
That was a lethal shot.
Maestro, you're doing this on every live.
But I digress. We don't need to get into all
every
that.
live. You see, Bass is like that.
What we will do,
not doing it again.
What we will do is we will say that he's the people's champ. Moving forward, I'll just call him the people's champ. He represents the people. Okay. So here's the thing. AJ has lost twice in a row to Alexander Usyk, right? AJ wasn't able to put Usyk down like Dubois did, but we'll leave that to the side for now. The fact is, you got to give credit to Eddie Hearn for rebuilding AJ through a series of wonderful matchmaking opportunities. The first one, Jermaine Franklin, 12 tough rounds against Jermaine Franklin. The second one after that, last minute replacement, or not last minute, but I think it was like 5-6 days replacement in the Nordic Nightmare, who was Robert Helenius, knocked out in one round by Wilder, bloodied up AJ's nose before getting knocked out on late notice. We get it. Following with that, exactly. Then after that, we have the Ottawa Lean fight. Okay, Ottawa Lean, who's been pretty inactive at the high level, was chasing around Dillian White, wasn't able to get that fight, sitting on the shelf forever, and then got the opportunity to face AJ and got sparked out. Following that was a performance against the 0-1 in boxing MMA world champion in Francis Ngannou. Point being, it's been a while since AJ's faced a top tier elite heavyweight. Now he's taking on the people's champ, the young gun, the guy that's on the rise right now, right? He's out in Brazil. He's sowing his oats. He's a new man. He's a new, and Don Charles has got in his head.
I do like Don Charles with him, yeah.
And has got this dude brimming with confidence. And I'll tell you what,
like
I love the confidence. It got me to be confident in him because I saw that stare down, and the young kid, the people's champ, he didn't back down. In fact, when AJ got up, he got up. He was ready to look right at him, and he said, "Who do you think you are?" He said that to the 8 times heavyweight champion of the world. Boy, this is going to be a good fight. I can't wait.
October.
Dani.
Okay. October 1st. Go for it.
I've spoken to different people, and a couple of people said it's a total mismatch. I won't tell you who. They've said it's a mismatch, and they reckon that Daniel Dubois will probably go down after round three and later. They believe that. And I'll give you their reason, and then I'll give you what I think. They were just saying that Anthony Joshua is the sharper, faster combination puncher, and the punches if Dubois doesn't tighten up his defense with the twos that Hrgovic was catching him with on the chin, the backhand, if Anthony Joshua lands them, it's going to be a different story because Anthony Joshua is a tougher puncher. I thought it would be a good fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. I believe that I don't think it's a mismatch. I do have Anthony Joshua down as the favourite because of his experience. I do have him down as the favourite, but I do think that Dubois is on this relentlessness mentality, albeit even though he was mouthing off at the stare off, when AJ got up to like stick it on him, he went a little bit quiet, Maestro. He went a little bit quiet. He didn't answer back much after that. But I think it's a good fight. The only thing I'd like to see, and I mean this from the bottom of my depths of my soul, what is left of it, I just want to see Daniel Dubois get a stylist. That's all I want to see. And I think everything else will fall into place. I just want to see him get a stylist. I'd offer, in fact, I am offering my services to be Daniel Dubois' stylist so I can get him in some really nice outfits. Yeah.
All black tracksuit. That's all he needs.
If he turned up in black Air Force Ones, it'd be over.
We don't need the suit looking like a church preacher. Like, just show up in the all black tracksuit. That's all we need.
Yeah, but he prefers.
I love October Red with the elegant way of sitting on the fence. It's beautiful, beautiful work, October.
I've got AJ as a favourite. I have.
Okay, Danny, what's your thoughts of the fight and the card as a whole?
Yeah, the fight is a good fight. Shout out to Daniel, the Deptford Daddy, Dynamite Dubois.
Daddy.
Yeah. South.
I wonder who he's daddying.
Well, he's been daddying
Jarrell Miller.
Sorry, I was talking about theme anyway. It doesn't matter.
Right. Out in South America, he's been daddying. But yeah, as Maestro said, soy in his Royal Oaks like Akeem, and his dad is obviously Big Jaffe Joffa. So yeah, shout outs. But this fight, someone said earlier they feel that AJ will be the faster puncher. I'm not too sure about that because Daniel is a fast puncher and a fast combination puncher at that, and he is about 8 years younger than AJ.
So you reckon he'll have the speed?
I think he
over
will.
AJ.
Yeah, for punches, yes. Even though AJ is a good combination puncher, but his combinations are slower now than they was back in the day. That just comes with age. At the end of the day, you're not going to be as fast. He's not going to be his combinations are not as fast as when he was lighting up Dillian White. Those combinations, it doesn't reel off like that. But he is a good combination puncher, AJ still. So Daniel still has to be wary of that. But Daniel, when he does let him go, I was at his last fight, and his combinations, when he lets them go, they are coming out rapid. And I've spoke to a lot of fighters in the industry who've been in with Daniel Dubois and AJ, either fight or sparring, and they've all said Daniel Dubois hits harder than AJ.
Stop.
No joke.
Really?
Yeah. And a few of them have even actually said that Dillian White hits harder than AJ. If you're talking about one punch power, they said with AJ, it's the combinations that gets you, but it's like it takes two to stun you, and then he reels off, and then he kind of gets you over. Like, I know with the Hellenius, he hit him with a one punch, but Hellenius always gets cleaned out by one punch. Remember, Gerald Washington cleaned him out with one punch. Wilder cleaned him out, so he's always getting cleaned out with one punch. So that doesn't really tell me too much.
Can't count that, yeah.
And Ngannou is an MMA guy. I've always said UFC chins ain't like boxing chins, so cleaning him out doesn't really say much. But yeah, they say Daniel Dubois hits harder than AJ. So he probably has, so he has the power advantage, the speed advantage, youth, durability. I say,
let's talk about durability because they've got some similarities in durability.
Yes, because what it is, they both can take a punch, but it's a mental thing with them. Remember, with Daniel, when he goes over, well, when he normally gets stopped, shall I say, it's normally been on his own accord where he takes a knee. It's not like he got wobbled and stuff like that. Takes a knee and he just bails out. Whereas when he was taking punches, where finally Don Charles has got in his brain, he was able to take 330 pounds worth of punches from Jarrell Miller. He was able to take those big 1-2s and
self-belief,
donkey punches at the back of the head from Philip Hergovich all of a sudden. So it's all about mind over matter. Same way with AJ. You didn't see he takes a good punch. Yeah, Klitschko dropped him, but Vladimir Klitschko is a massive puncher, and he got straight up and he got straight back in. He's taken big punches from Dillian Whyte, loads of punches. Even
well, not Andy Ruiz.
Well, yeah.
Some people say he quit in that fight. I don't say he quit, but some people say he quit.
Well,
I think he was confused about what was going on because he was clearly concussed.
Yeah, he was concussed and he didn't respond the way he needed to respond, which is why Carl Froch keeps getting onto him. But that's another story.
Yeah, Carl Froch says he quit. I don't say he quit, but some people say that.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah, I don't think he quit, but I just don't think he responded the right way. But it happens.
He didn't know what was going on.
Yeah,
he didn't see that his dad was trying to like strangle Eddie on the live stream.
Yeah, he probably didn't know what it was.
Something was up that. I can't wait to read his memoirs when he retires.
He was having like a Zab Judah moment where he threw the stool at Jay Nady. Like he was all over the place, legs moving all funny, doing the chicken dance.
Well, he threatened to throw the stool at Daniel Dubois at the face-off.
Yeah, we know that's not happening. That's not happening.
He probably would have done though.
Nah, that's all talk.
Well,
somebody told him to say that in his earpiece. I don't know who told him to say that to think it was cool. But
where's his earpiece?
Whoever's on the earpiece I've seen on the other end, like you need to start feeding your man better lines right now. Because at the end of the day, when you get broke up by Daniel Dubois in a verbal contest, no disrespect to Daniel Dubois, but he's mild-mannered, he's calm. You know, he probably doesn't have all of the life experience of AJ. You think that
he might be getting it now, though.
Some quick comebacks, but
late bloomer.
You know, I am AJ. I am system malfunction.
Oh wow! Why are you doing this to Joshua, man? You're brutal.
What was that? It's like Sleepy Joe Biden with the earpiece debating over here. These debates.
You are taking a mic. Now you're taking a mic. Now you're comparing Joshua to Biden. That man don't even know what planet he's on.
Quote over, move right.
Wow.
President Biden, sit down in that chair.
I know you want Dubois to win, but you're mocking it now.
But yeah, let me just finish because we have to remember.
Base is looking at his battery.
Base is on a timer. So as far as the fight's concerned, I can't actually give my prediction on who I think wins, but I will say I feel Daniel Dubois has a very good chance of winning this because it is more mind over matter with both of them. Both of them have now come through adversity mentally, and they're on a good trajectory. Both of them mentally. So this is going to be.
Oh no, that's what I said. I don't think it's a mismatch.
No, it's definitely not. It's a battle of the minds going into this, and a lot of it will be down to the teams. Ben Davison and Don Charles. You know, big up Don Charles. Do you know what? I'm gonna go with South London. I'm gonna go with South London. I'm not gonna cheat you lot.
You're going with Daniel.
I'm going for the Deptford Daddy, Daniel Dynamite.
Daddy.
Yeah, I'm going with him. Yeah. Also on the undercard,
just say London. Yeah. Watford's not London anyways. Just say you're going with London. You don't even have to say South.
Hold on. Also, a big up man like Joshua Buatsi.
Senna.
Getting the strangle game on. Boache getting the strangle game on. Yeah, man. Big him ups. I hope he does the business. Great fight. We're going to be looking forward to against Willie Hutchinson. And big up Tyler Denny.
Come on.
The Blade. You know what I mean? The eye collector, I call him. Against Hamza Shiraz against the ambassador of Riyadh season. So yeah, big ups.
Okay, well, look, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. All the predictions, all of the thoughts. October, there is a super chat which you haven't got around to. I think it's just right to at least put it on screen for the people. just so they can, to the
Oh,
person gets
apologies.
their
Sorry,
shout out,
Leonard.
Leonard Sterling. Maestro, would you like to do you want to respond to that or?
Hey, Maestro, question mark. What's the question?
I think she's saying,
before
you said he was inactive, so I think they're saying, hey, Maestro.
I didn't say he was just I meant inactive at the elite, like world-class level.
Yeah, he did say that. Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
At the end of the day, who did he fight? He fought Travis
Gassiev,
Dominic Brazil.
He fought Kaufman, Brazil,
Rydell Booker, right?
I thought he lost to Kamil Sokolowski, but yeah.
He fought a Turkish guy too. I forgot that guy's name.
Murat Gassiev is Russian.
No, I'm talking about the other guy, Olguin. No, Gassiev was world class at cruiserweight. He was never a world class heavyweight.
No, he fought him in Turkey. Yeah, that's why you may be getting it mixed up.
Oh, okay. I thought he fought a Turkish guy too prior to that. But yeah, he fought Murat Gassiev in Turkey. I mean, Murat Gassiev has a sum total of 0, wins at the heavyweight level that are of note. Like literally 0. He's done nothing in the heavyweight division of note since moving up after he lost to Usyk in a very good fight, lost a 12-round decision. Yeah, I don't know. I agree with what I said earlier. He was fighting, but he wasn't fighting on any kind of a approaching world-class level prior to fighting AJ since the Fury fight. So that's what I meant. I didn't mean he was like inactive, not fighting. I meant inactive, fighting at a high level. Because he was waiting for Dillian White. Remember, he was running around trying to get a Dillian fight. Dillian agreed to sign him, but then Dillian, what's another word for pulled out?
Exited?
Well, he got injured.
Yeah, injured, yeah. I'm trying to find positive language, because Shaniqua and Latoya and Levon and all these AJ fans, they keep pestering me on social media, I think a lot of them are from the Undefeated podcast, to be honest. A lot of the people that come at me. It's fine. I'm used to the Great Defeated. They're big fans of AJ. We get it. I understand. Anyhow, the point is that I don't think he was fighting at an elite level or anywhere approaching it. That's all.
Okay, with that, I guess before we wrap up, let me ask you a question then. So in their last 4 fights, you had Kevin Lorraine for Daniel Dubois, then you had Alexander Usyk, then you had Jarrell Miller, and then you had Filip Hrgović. In Joshua, you had Jermaine Franklin, you had Robert Helenius, you had Otto Wallin, and then you had Francis Ngannou. Here's the question. How different in levels, apart from Usyk, who is the outlier, we can unequivocally say that is elite level competition that you're going up against. But with the others, how different are they in terms of level? I mean, Jarrell Miller wasn't, just for context, he wasn't actually ranked at the time when Daniel Dubois faced him. He had a very minor ranking in the WBA, I think as like number 11 or 12.
He was ranked in the WBA.
Yeah, he had a minor ranking in the WBA, but wasn't ranked anywhere else. Hrgović, who was number 1 in the IBF, but a lot of people feel like he lost to Zhang, and then he had a very uneventful fight with Dempsey McKean to people, and then decided to fight Mark Demori, who was, a joke of a fight. On the other hand, you had obviously Anthony Joshua, who fought an 0-1 MMA fighter, but a fighter that was legitimized because of the performance he put in against, quote unquote, the best heavyweight of this era, Tyson Fury. Otto Wallin, who had just beaten Murat Gassiev, who and everyone had said, oh, well, he's gonna be awful for AJ, tricky southpaw, blah blah blah. Robert Helenius, who had some decent level wins coming up to point, obviously lost to Deontay Wilder, lost to Gerard, etc. And then Jermaine Franklin, who some people like to think beat Dillian White and had a good chin, was serviceable. And he, is he much different to Kevin Lorena in terms of their talent levels or their levels at the time of the fight, in your opinion?
Is that for me or for Dani?
No, that's for you, because obviously you were speaking about Joshua's level of competition, and a lot of people have said that Daniel's fought the better level of competition, but I did
Right.
push
Okay.
back on that during the week.
Right. I got it. So, very fair questions, by the way, Base. Very fair. That's why Base, fair and balanced Base. I would say that the Lorena fight is comparable to all of AJ's fights since he lost to Usyk, and that the other fights, especially the Usyk fight, especially being in a stadium, especially since he did something that AJ couldn't do, which is drop Usyk, that definitely surpasses. That definitely showed a young man some respect. They'll make me pull up the video and photo evidence because I have it permanently stored on my computer here. So the fact is that look, regardless of what we think about Big Baby, I don't think that that's lower than Helenius, where Helenius was at that point, or than Otto Aline, where Otto Aline was at that point. And I think that what gives Dubois the edge in the recent experience bracket or variable is the Usyk fight and the Hrgovic fight. Because even if you do think that Hrgovic lost to Zhang, and I thought Hrgovic lost to Zhang too, it was still a competitive 12-round fight, and Hrgovic was ranked #1 in the IBF, higher than anyone AJ fought in that spell was ranked by any sanctioning body. So you look at Usyk, he was the unified champion, now undisputed. That's tremendous experience. And you look at the Hrgovic fight, Hrgovic was #1 in the IBF. So I think any fair assessment gives the edge towards Dubois if you look at the last four opponents. Yeah.
Paper.
Okay. Well, look, I'm quite happy to let things lie there. October, would you like to do the final shout outs and give people your platforms and all that good stuff, and so we can sort of get this stream uploaded and to the public?
To the public, yes. Thank you. Like I said, thank you for everybody that's tuned in, everyone that's engaged in the chat. I know we were more kind of like conversating between ourselves rather than digging deep into the chat. But thank you. Like I said, engagement is key. Obviously, I'm October Red. I think it's October Red Media on YouTube. It's October Red Media on IG. It's October Red UK on X. And I've got TikTok as well. No, I haven't got Snapchat or OnlyFans. And stop sending me DMs asking me if I've got OnlyFans or can you whatever. Please stop. Just let a woman be in boxing and enjoy boxing. But now, I love yous all, really. Yeah, that's me, innit?
Dani, let them know where to find you.
You can find me. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell button for all the notifications. But you can find me at Fight Fan TV Live on YouTube, on Instagram, Fight Fan TV Live, on TikTok, Fight Fan TV Live, and on Twitter, you can find me at Dani Glover FFTV. Dani Glover, Foxtrot, Tango, Victor.
Maestro, give them the socials.
Yeah, so big up Base. Excellent job today, brother. You held it down. The transitions from topic to topic, the questions.
Smooth.
Very,
just
very
that honey slipping down the back of the throat. Smooth.
Top tier work from my man Base. October Red, I learned something new about you every time we get on these lives. And Dani has seen the light, and I'm not giving myself credit for this. Look, the light is there. You just have to open up your door and go out and look at it. All right, because
Daniel
it's
Dubois
very
is
clear
a
what's
light.
happening in September.
It's like that thing in House Party. I see the light.
There you go. So where can you find me? Tagline is right there. Maestro A. You type in Maestro A in YouTube. You see it. You go to my socials. Maestro Amilcar. Amilcar is my first name, and I'm proud of it. I like that name. And yeah, you can find me there. I'm trying to push people over to my Patreon. I'm putting a lot of content out on my Patreon now, especially when I go out of fights. There's different tiers of Patreon membership. YouTube doesn't really put much money in our pockets, guys. I mean, we come on here, we do these lives, we give our opinions, we put ourselves out there, our faces, our opinions out on the internet, and YouTube takes literally 99% of any generated revenue that causes. So I'm trying to move people towards outlets that support. I'm still always going to do my YouTube, but it's an introduction to supporting on Patreon and other areas. And I'm very excited about what I'm going to be developing with 3 of my favorite people right here. October Red, Dani Glover, Dakid. We're going to have our own channel. We're going to put this show out on that channel. And hopefully all of you that are watching, who obviously already hit the like button, the subscribe button, are going to go over there and like and subscribe to those videos as well, right? Because this is only going to get bigger and better. And I always love this discussion.
Great
We should put
stuff.
a panel
And
on Patreon.
maybe it might be an idea. We can
Might
discuss
be
that
an
one.
idea, you know. Yeah, we'll discuss it.
Ladies and gentlemen, for me, on YouTube, Dakid, the hardcore casual, you know, as stated in the final presser yesterday, Fisher Babic. Twitter, you can find me at B_A_S_E, or just type in Dakid because it does seem to show up first in the algorithm. I must be doing bits. Instagram and Instagram is Dakid. TikTok is Dakid.thc. Threads Dakid as well. You know, but only certain selections of those actually do boxing content. So it's up to you which one you subscribe to. After this, I will be, I need to record and upload my weekend wrap because I didn't get to do it beforehand. But shout out to everyone who has been in attendance. It's been a beautiful, nice, long 2+ hour stream. But yeah, very enjoyable. So salute to everyone. Make sure you come back on the next one. We'll give you details on when both the new channel is up and where we decide to sort of put that and how to sort of find these link ups that we do because it's needed for the culture. But until then, enjoy the rest of your evening and stay safe, and we'll catch you soon.
People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.